Chapter 1109. Martial Arts Talent Level 5. Bloodline Limit High-Grade Mysterious Body. Next 1. Martial Arts Talent Level 6. Bloodline Limit High-Grade Mysterious Body. Martial Arts Talent Level 5. Flying Cloud City. In the central square surrounded by 4 pavilions, the initial assessment of the martial arts great sect disciples was in full swing. One by one, the outstanding young talents went up the stage and displayed their talents and potential in front of the 2-stone tablet. The martial arts great sect genius in charge of this assessment, young Master Xiaomeng, leaned on a wide chair and looked at the young men and women on the stage with interest. The city lords sitting beside him were also calm, occasionally chatting with each other leisurely. However, Elder Lu, who was in charge of the registration, kept a straight face. His cold old face was like the bluestone steps in front of the door. From his extremely cold tone, it could be seen that he was not very satisfied with these newcomers. Martial Arts Talent Level 5. Bloodline Limit High-Grade Mysterious Body. Elder Lu's cold voice reverberated below the stage. He did not even raise his head, minding his own business as he registered his name on the scroll, and announced calmly, "Next." Almost half of the people were taking the assessment. At this side, the crowd below the stage more or less paused. To the spectators, it was a little dull. So far, the highest martial arts talent is only level 6 and the bloodline limit is only high-grade mysterious body. It seems that the quality of this year's newcomers is a little low. That's right. I remember last year there were 3 top-notch geniuses with holy bodies. Yes, and there were quite a few whose martial arts talent reached level 7. I guess those top-notch geniuses have been recruited by Hanyun's sect and Xianyang Palace. After all, the competition between the disciples of the martial arts great sect is rather cruel and intense. In the past, many geniuses who entered the martial arts great sect were crippled. This caused many young geniuses to be unwilling to choose the martial arts great sect this year. Next 1. Towards the whispers below the stage, Elder Lu's emotions did not fluctuate much. At this moment, Han Ichuan, who was standing beside Chu Hen, suddenly walked up. "Hey, let me try." The few of them were taken aback. Qiao Shaowan and Yi Yao laughed. "Good luck!" "Victory!" Zhao Qingkai teased. "You're here to embarrass yourself again." Soon, Han Ichuan leaped onto the stage with steady step. Looking at this unfamiliar face, the audience below the stage did not give too much enthusiasm. Junior Han Ichuan. After simply reporting his name, Han Ichuan walked straight to the first stele. Then, he raised his palm, and condensed true inner force gathered in his palm like a cyclone. Buzz, when his palm was firmly pressed against the surface of the tablet, streaks of gorgeous true origin energy instantly spread out from the stone tablet and fused into the stone patterns on it. In an instant, the stone tablet seemed to be enveloped by a thin layer of silver gauze. Ding ding ding, a series of crisp sounds of wine glasses clinking against each other could be heard. From the bottom to the top, the gemstones embedded on the surface of the monument shone with a bright and beautiful light. From 1 to 6, the 6 jewels immediately sparkled. Another level 6 talent. The enthusiasm of the audience below the stage was reduced by half. Qiao Shaowan frowned and shook her head. The head disciple of the victorious East State's 9-cloud pavilion is only a level 6 talent. Isn't this too much? Ding. Just as she finished speaking, another light sound rang out. The audience was shocked. Looking over, they saw that the 7th jewel was sparkling. Wow! The audience below the stage was instantly in a low uproar. Level 7 talent. Finally, a level 7 talent. Amazing! Looking at the 7 glowing jewels, Elder Lu's expression finally relaxed. Han Ichuan retracted his palm and walked to the front of the second stele. He looked up and a confident smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Once again, he placed his palm on the stone tablet. Along with a vigorous aura, 5 streaks of gray chi patterns flowed out from 5 of his fingertips, like a tiny horned dragon. As the 5 streaks of chi patterns flowed, they quickly merged together and formed a dim beam of light. That dim beam of light shuttled through the middle boundary of the stone tablet. After a short while, it flew directly towards the area above the stone tablet. Buzz! In the next second, the holy character on the top of the stone tablet was suddenly filled up. Everyone's heart shuddered when they heard that. It's the holy body! Ding! At the same time, the first of the 3 jewels surrounding the holy character also sparkled with a dazzling light. It couldn't be wrong. Holy body! Elder Lu's stoic old face finally showed some satisfaction, and his voice was much louder than before. Martial talent, level 7. Bloodline limit, low-grade holy body. The Flying Cloud City immediately burst into an uproar. Countless people looked at Han Ichuan with admiration in their eyes. Even the city lords were moved by it. In this Midland, where geniuses were as numerous as dogs, only the holy body could occupy a place. Within a few blinks of an eye, Han Ichuan immediately became the focus of the crowd. He swaggered down from the stage like a celebrity. Haha, what do you think? Wasn't I handsome just now? Pfft. Qiao Shaowan gave him a scornful glance and said, So what if you have a holy body? It's not like you're the only one with a holy body. So far, I'm indeed the only one. Han Ichuan shrugged, then threw a sideway glance at Zhao Qingyi, who was standing not far away, and said with a frivolous tone, Therefore, some people shouldn't look down on others. Zhao Qingyi carelessly glared back at him. What's so great about you? Before he could finish speaking, another uproar broke out below the stage. Martial talent, level 8. My God! Level 8 talent? The hearts of Chu Hen, Han Ichuan, Zhao Qingkai and the others were also alarmed. Their gazes swept over in unison, only to see a tall, thin, and luxuriously dressed young figure retracting his palm from the stone tablet. It's Yun Chao! Zhao Qingkai blurted out. Yun Chao? The same surname as Yun Shan, the mayor of Flying Cloud City. Could it be? Chu Hen and the others were confused. As expected, the citizens of the Flying Cloud City below the stage were all praising him. Young mayor, you didn't let us down. Haha, young mayor is mighty. Amidst a wave of praises, Yun Chao unhurriedly walked to the second stone tablet. A strong bloodline power burst out from his body, and layers of dense and sharp white sword shadows instantly flowed around his body. The air on the stage seemed to be cut, letting out a sharp whistling sound. Then, he pointed at the stone tablet with one finger. Swoosh! A white sword pattern flowed on the stone tablet. The sword pattern was like a beam of light, and without any pause, darted towards the holy character above. Holy body! Without any suspense. Ding! A dazzling gem lit up, like a star competing with the radiant sun in the sky. Martial art talent, level 8. Bloodline limit, low-grade holy body. Hua! The turbulence caused was even more violent than the one caused by Han Ichuan. There were all kinds of cheers and celebrations in the audience. Young mayor is mighty. Haha, level 8 martial art talent, only one person reached it last year. It's probably the same this year. Young mayor should be the first. Congratulations, young mayor. Congratulations, Sir Mayor. Ha 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 ha, everyone, don't mess up the order. Yun Shan quickly stood up, raised his hands and calmed everyone's emotions. The test is not over yet, it's still too early to say anything. Mayor Yun is modest. Level 8 martial art talent is definitely top-notch at the moment. When he enters martial ancestor in the future, he will be able to go to another level. The other mayors also expressed their congratulations. That's right, he hasn't even entered martial ancestor, and he already has level 8 martial art talent. He will be amazing in the future. Yun Shan waved his hands, expressing his shame. Although he said shame, his brows were still filled with unconcealable pride. Yun Chao, who was on the stage, also had a proud smile on his face. When he got off the stage, he subconsciously glanced at Zhao Qingyi and Zhao Qingyi with a provocative look in his eyes. F***ck, this bastard wants to fly. Zhao Qingkai was so angry that his cheeks puffed up. Without saying anything, he directly pushed Zhao Qingyi, who was beside him, out. Brother, go and teach this bastard how to behave. Zhao Qingyi was instantly speechless. She didn't want to go up the stage so quickly, but she was pushed out by Zhao Qingkai. She could only sigh and step up the stage. When they saw Zhao Qingyi go up the stage, the atmosphere of the audience exploded. It's the young mayor of Hidden Sky City. Haha, there's a show to watch. Everyone knew that Zhao Xuanxiong and Yun Shan were old rivals. The two fathers had fought for dozens of years, so naturally, their descendants would also be compared. Brother, you can do it. Zhao Qingkai waved her small fists below the stage. Although she was a little unruly, her lively appearance was also somewhat cute. Chu Hen and the others couldn't help but feel it was slightly funny. It seemed that this woman wasn't only unfriendly towards them, but also towards other people. Under the gazes of tens of thousands of people, Zhao Qingyi circulated her qi and injected her true origin energy into the stone tablet in front of her. Along with a majestic wave of qi that spread out on the stage, the stone tablet immediately flickered with dazzling complex runes. It was like a line of star beads. One by one, the gemstones competed with each other, shining brightly. 6, 7, 8. They were both grade 8 martial arts innate talents. The atmosphere below the stage fluctuated up and down, and the cheers were unceasing. Another grade 8 martial arts innate talent, she's already surpassed last year. Let's look at the boundary of the bloodline. A grade 8 innate talent was comparable to Yun Chao. Next, it would depend on whether the boundary of the bloodline could surpass Yun Chao. When Zhao Qingyi walked in front of the second stone tablet, everyone's expressions were tense, and they didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Chapter 11:10. 5 streaks of green light converged to form a condensed beam of light that shot towards the holy character above the stone tablet, instantly filling it up. Accompanied by a strong energy fluctuation, the first gem surrounding the holy character suddenly lit up like a star, dazzling to the eyes. The crowd below the stage burst into an uproar like a raging wave. Many of the spectators from Hidden Sky City burst into enthusiastic applause. Good. Our Hidden Sky City's young city lord is not to be outdone, haha. Young city lord is amazing. Even Chu Hen, Han Ichuan, and the others were surprised. They didn't expect Zhao Qingyi's potential to be so astonishing. A martial talent of the 8th level, a bloodline boundary of a saint physique, and a cultivation of the ancient eternal realm. To have such attainments in martial arts at such a young age, her future would definitely be limitless. Good, Elder Lu nodded his head in pleasant surprise and quickly registered it on the scroll. Martial talent 8th level. Bloodline boundary, low-grade Saint Physique. 3 Saint Physique boundary bloodlines had appeared in a row, which was already comparable to last year's. For any sect, the better the talent of the new disciples, the greater the potential. This was extremely important. Elder Lu's stoic face visibly smoothed out a little. Good job, big brother. Zhao Qingkai clapped her hands excitedly, then unceremoniously stared back at Flying Cloud City's young city lord Yun Chao. Yun Chao coldly snorted in response. Flying Cloud City Lord Yun Shan's expression naturally turned cold. He glanced at Zhao Xuanxiong, who was sitting on the outermost side, but when he saw the latter's calm expression, Yun Shan became even more annoyed. Keep pretending. Under everyone's gaze, Zhao Qingyi walked down the stage and returned to Zhao Qingcai's side. The latter's eyes flashed, as expected of this lady's big brother, so handsome. After saying that, Zhao Qingcai glared back at Han Ichuan, Chu Hen, and the others as if to show off. Han Ichuan naturally had an unconvinced expression and said indifferently, "Isn't it just 1 level higher than me in martial arts talent? What's so great about that? Just as he spoke, Zhao Qingkai followed Zhao Qingyi, nimbly and gracefully leaping onto the high platform. Hua! It's the Hidden Sky City's second young lady. Are the two siblings going on stage together? Interesting. I wonder how talented she is? Although Zhao Qingsai's personality wasn't likable, it was undeniable that she was quite charming. Her appearance on the stage was like a beautiful scenery, and it immediately attracted the gazes of countless people of the opposite sex. Moreover, her identity as the second young lady of Hidden Sky City attracted even more cheers from the crowd. Hidden Heaven City's Zhao Qingkai. After a simple introduction, Zhao Qingkai walked up to the first stone tablet. Her fair and beautiful jade-like hands gently pressed on the surface of the tablet. Then, the true origin energy in her body surged out like a torrent crashing against a dam, an astonishing wave of qi swept across the stage, and the dense true inner force immediately covered the entire stone tablet. Ding ding ding! The star gems quickly lit up from the bottom to the top, as if 7 stars were aligned. In an instant, the 7 gems immediately blossomed with resplendent holy light. 7th grade martial arts talent. The audience burst into an uproar. 7th grade martial arts talent? Yes, it's normal for the younger sister to be 1 grade lower than the older brother. That's reasonable. Although a 7th grade martial arts talent was weaker than Zhao Qingyi and Yun Chao, it was still considered a high level. Zhao Qingsai's performance was not disappointing. Then, she unhurriedly walked to the front of the second stone tablet and lightly placed her hands on the stone tablet. Then, her eyes focused, and a gentle green radiance permeated from her body. The green radiance flowed along her arms to her fingertips and turned into 10 fine qi patterns. Along with the stone tablet that was emitting waves of soft hums, the 10 qi patterns were like swimming dragons, rushing to the top of the stone tablet at an extremely fast speed, directly filling up the holy character. There's no doubt about the holy physique. Amazing! Hidden Sky City actually produced 2 holy physique. Although they are weaker than the young city lord, they are definitely 1 in 10,000 geniuses. The discussion below the stage had not yet died down when 2 crisp sounds suddenly reverberated on the stage. Everyone's heartstrings trembled, and even young Master Qingqing, Xiaomeng, who was sitting in the VIP seats, looked over in surprise. He saw that 2 of the 3 gems beside the holy character had lit up. Mid-grade holy physique, boom! The atmosphere in Flying Cloud City completely exploded, and everyone looked at Zhao Qingkai with shocked and envious gazes. The several city lords on the stage were all stunned. This was especially so for Flying Cloud City Lord Yunshan, who clenched his fists tightly and stared at Zhao Xuanxiong like a sharp sword. Zhao Xuanxiong calmly held his teacup and drank his tea, but there was still a hint of a complacent smile at the corner of his mouth. Martial arts talent, 7th grade. Bloodline limit, mid-grade holy physique. Elder Lu became increasingly excited. If the disappointment in the first half of the competition had caused his mood to be at a low point, then the appearance of 4 holy physiques in a row directly caused his mood to soar to the peak. Good, very good. It's actually a mid-grade holy physique. This is a little monstrous. At this moment, Zhao Qingkai could be said to be dazzling, instantly overshadowing the brilliance of all the geniuses present. Although her martial arts talent was only at the 7th grade, in comparison, the difference between a mid-grade holy physique and a low-grade holy physique was more important. No one would have thought that Hidden Sky City would suddenly produce 2 monstrous holy physique. City Lord Zhao Xuanxiong was definitely a winner in life. Without a doubt, Zhao Xuanxiong firmly suppressed Yunshan today. Amidst the cheers of the crowd, Zhao Qingkai walked down the stage like a bright moon. She looked at Han Ichuan, Chu Hen, and the rest with a frivolous and complacent look on her face. With the likes of you, it's better if you don't go to the martial sect. It'll be embarrassing if you go. You. Han Ichuan was infuriated. This damned girl was asking for a mile after being given an inch. If Zhao Qingyi went up the stage to retaliate against Yun Chao, then Zhao Qingkai was directly suppressing Chu Hen and the rest. After all, along the way, she had been displeased with all sorts of things. At this moment, Yi Yao suddenly stuffed the yin-yang beast, Noni, into Qiao Xiaowan's arms. "Big brother Chu Hen, I'll go up and try." Everyone was startled. Zhao Qingyi glanced at Yi Yao, who was about the same age as her, and snorted disdainfully. Without waiting for Chu Hen's reply, Yi Yao had already gone up the stage. "Wow! Another little beauty, and her temperament is not bad. She's quite an unfamiliar face. I've never seen her before. She shouldn't be from our side." Seeing the unfamiliar face, the crowd's expectations were not high. It was completely different from the fiery atmosphere when Zhao Qingkai went up the stage. However, Yi Yao did not care about this. She walked to the front of the first stone tablet, and her clear eyes shone brightly. Buzz, she immediately mobilized her inner energy. Two beams of light, one black and one white, intertwined and flowed into Yi Yao's palm through her wrist. The light intertwined like two yin and yang fishes. Then, Yi Yao gently pressed her palm onto the stone tablet. A slight tremor spread across the stage, and everyone's faces were filled with astonishment. Beautiful runes flickered, and in an instant, the gems on the stone tablet shone brightly. 5 gems. 6 gems. 7 gems. 8 gems. When the 8th gem shone brightly, the crowd was stunned. This unfamiliar girl had actually reached the 8th level of martial arts talent? The crowd looked at each other. "Little Yao, that's amazing!" "Haha, amazing!" Han Ichuan and Qiao Shaowan clapped and cheered excitedly. Zhao Qingkai, who was not far away, frowned and snorted coldly. It's just martial arts talent. What's there to be proud of? This girl is not bad. She actually has such a high martial arts talent." Even Shifengzi was surprised. After all, even Han Ichuan, a genius from the 9th Heaven Pavilion, only had a 7th level talent. On the other hand, Yi Yao was from the tiny Sacred Star Empire. There was a huge gap between the two. However, Chu Hen was not surprised by Yi Yao's martial arts talent. When she was in the Sacred Star Empire, Yi Yao's talent surpassed her peers. Most importantly, Yi Yao's experiences in the victorious East State. In order to obtain Yi Yao's bloodline, Shin Tuitian, the young valley master of Innocence Valley, controlled her with pills and went through a series of strict and cruel training. During her time in Innocence Valley, Shin Tuitian had spent a great deal of effort on Yi Yao. The supply of countless top-grade elixirs. All sorts of cruel fights. As a result, Yi Yao's talents in all aspects had greatly increased. It was undeniable that after that experience, Yi Yao had gained a lot. However, she had also suffered countless hardship. Even though Chu Hen had completely annihilated Shintu Itian in the primordial sanctuary in the end, this matter still caused Chu Hen to feel slightly guilty in his heart. Martial arts talent of the 8th level. Then, Yi Yao walked in front of the second stone tablet. She let out a light breath and slowly closed her large, lively eyes. After a second of pause, she opened her eyes, and a strong gust of wind whistled past. Yi Yao's originally clear eyes shockingly turned into the strange state of the Tai Chi yin-yang diagram. That is, the hearts of everyone present couldn't help but shudder. Buzz, then, the surging power of yin and yang swept out. With Yi Yao as the center, a strange Tai Chi diagram swept out in all directions from her feet. Yi Yao gently placed her palms on the stone tablet. The rhythm caused the air in the surroundings to become restless. 2 cyclones, one black and one white, entered the surface of the tablet and chased after the word "Saint" above. Oh my God! Another Saint physique. At this moment, Elder Lu's face was filled with excitement. Even the martial ancestor sect disciples who had come were secretly shocked. This year's new disciples were really terrifyingly strong. As senior brothers and senior sisters, they suddenly felt a lot of pressure. When the word saint was filled with black and white light patterns, the first gem lit up. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the second gem. Zhao Qingsai's heart was also taut, and his eyes were fixed on it. If the second gem could also light up, then Yi Yao would surpass him. Buzz, endless powerful aura was released from Yi Yao's body. Dust and fallen leaves swirled in the air. Ding, the crisp sound was unusually pleasing to the ear. Everyone's eyes narrowed as they saw the second gem emit a dazzling red light. Rumble! The atmosphere below the stage immediately exploded in the square. Zhao Qingsai's heart instantly sank to the bottom. Middle-grade Saint Physique. Just like her. However, Yi Yao's talent in martial arts surpassed hers. Some people exclaimed, while others shook their heads. Just as Elder Lu was about to announce the result, another soft sound came from the stage without any warning. The sound was so soft that it sounded like a small piece of glass falling to the ground. However, when it reached the ears of the crowd, it was like a thunderclap. In an instant, everyone's eyes widened, and their expressions changed drastically. The third gem next to the word saint was faintly flashing with a dim blue light. The faint blue light was very weak. If one did not look closely, they would not be able to see that it was glowing. However, that wisp of dim light did indeed exist. The tension in their hearts almost broke. Everyone looked at the young girl in disbelief. My God, High Superior! Superior Saint Physique, rumble! Chapter 11:11. The entire city was in an uproar. The fiery atmosphere was like a flood that had broken through a dam, wreaking havoc everywhere. My God! A high-grade Saint Physique? It should be a quasi-high-grade Saint Physique, right? The third gem didn't light up everything. What quasi-high-grade? That's high-grade. In an instant, everyone in Flying Cloud City focused their gazes on the young girl in front of the ancient stone tablet. The city lords all stood up from their seats, each and every one of them extremely shocked. Even young Master Xiaomeng, who had been indifferent since the beginning, couldn't help but shake his head and chuckle. Haha, high-grade Saint Physique. Interesting, 8th grade martial arts talent. High-grade Saint Physique bloodline limit. That girl, who looked to be less than 20 years old, was like a monster in everyone's eyes, causing them to exclaim in admiration, "Little Yao?" It wasn't just the people present, even Qiao Shaowan, Han Ichuan, and the others who had been with her for a long time were surprised. The corners of Chu Hen's eyes narrowed slightly. He was also surprised. With regards to Yi Yao, no one present understood her better than Chu Hen. Her supreme ultimate holy physique bloodline limit had evolved from a mutated bloodline limit, the yin-yang mystic body back then. In order to upgrade Yi Yao's bloodline limit, Shintu Etian, the young master of Innocence Valley, had spent a lot of effort. In the end, he borrowed the power of the divine Dao stone in the primordial sacred region to help Yi Yao complete her transformation. Chu Hen clearly remembered that when Yi Yao's Saint Physique had reached the greater success stage, she had attracted a terrifying Saint Tribulation. Is it because of the divine Dao stone? Chu Hen thought to himself. In ancient times, there was a mighty figure who gathered the power of the universe and used heaven and earth as a furnace to refine a supreme divine item. This item was called the Divine Dao Stone. Those who practiced the great Dao could move the stars, avoid death, and prolong life. The Divine Dao Stone had the power to control the sun and moon, stabilize yin and yang, suppress evil spirits, and fuse heaven and earth with all things. Thinking of this, Chu Hen subconsciously placed his hand on his dantian. The incomplete Great Dao Divine Stone was still in his true essence, Violet Palace. If that's the case, I should really carefully study that God Stone in the future. This girl is also from the Sacred Star Empire? Shifengzi asked in a deep voice. Chu Hen was first stunned, and then he nodded. Yes, but Little Yao is at the limit of a mutated bloodline mutation? Shifengzi looked up and nodded. So that's how it is. There are many variables in a mutated physique. It seems that this is not surprising. It's not surprising at all. This variable seems a little scary. Han Ichuan rubbed his nose. At this moment, he was happy for Yi Yao, but at the same time, he was devastated. Chu Hen smiled and did not say anything else. The commotion slowly calmed down. Yi Yao retracted her hand from the stone tablet and a relaxed smile appeared on her face. Elder Lu, who was not too far away, hurried over. "Little girl, what's your name?" Yi Yao was stunned. Only then did she remember that she had not introduced herself. "I'm sorry, Elder Lu. I forgot to say my name. I'm Yi Yao." Her eyes were clear and her smile was pure. She was very quick-witted and lovable. "Ha ha ha ha, it's okay, Yi Yao. Martial arts talent level 8. Bloodline limit, superior holy body." The crowd was in an uproar again. It can't be. The sixth elder actually smiled? I thought this old antique didn't know how to smile. Don't you talk nonsense? 5 holy bodies appeared in a row, and there's even a superior holy body. It would be strange if he didn't smile. Wu Zong has earned a lot this year. Like a dazzling star, Yi Yao walked down the stage happily. "Brother Chu Hen, I didn't let you down, did I?" She blinked her big eyes and smiled sweetly. Chu Hen smiled. "Very good. That's for sure." Han Ichuan hurriedly followed up and said mockingly, "I'm afraid some people won't be able to smile anymore." Hearing this, Zhao Qingkai almost stomped her feet in anger. She had wanted to mock Chu Hen and the others. She did not expect to be defeated instead. Whether it was martial arts talent or bloodline limit, Yi Yao was far superior to her, leaving her speechless. However, Zhao Qingkai did not lose his morale. Even though Yi Yao's potential was immense, Zhao Qingsai's cultivation base had already reached the ancient eternal realm, giving him a significant lead over her. As long as he maintained this advantage, it would be hard to say who would be able to gain a foothold in the martial sect in the future. After Yi Yao's review, Long Xuanxuang went up the stage. Tall and graceful, with a cold temperament, the moment Long Xuanxuang went up the stage, it caused quite a commotion. "Wow, big sister Xuanxuang seems very popular." Yi Yao smiled. "Of course, aren't all men like that?" Qiao Shaowan said coyly. Chu Hen was a little speechless. However, he was already used to this kind of scene. After all, ever since he was young, this second sister of his had been especially popular. Junior Long Xuanxuang. After saying her name, Long Xuanxuang stepped under the first stone tablet. The true yuan in her body circulated rapidly, and a cold wind swept out from the stage. Long Xuanxuang looked up slightly, and her slender fingers gently pressed on the surface of the tablet. A layer of true yuan with a gentle white glow immediately spread out, the runes on the surface of the tablet flowed. A layer of crystal-clear frost instantly covered the entire stone tablet. True yuan with the power of ice? The crowd below the stage cried out in alarm. At the same time, one gem after another quietly lit up. A straight beam of light shot up from the bottom. 6, 7, 8. For example, when the star beads were connected, it lit up the whole audience. Everyone present had their eyes wide open, and their faces were filled with astonishment. Another level 8 martial artist, before the people in the audience could finish their words. Ding! With a crisp sound, the 9th gem suddenly bloomed with a brilliant purple light. 9 stones lit up at the same time. For example, when the 9 stars were connected. Perfect control of power, and the true yuan with the property of ice. Long Xuanxuang. Level 9 martial arts talent. Wow! The violent shock came one after another, and pairs of eyes full of disbelief stared at the dark stone tablet. It's really 9 stars lit up at the same time. Oh my God, how many years has it been? It's the first time I see a newcomer with a level 9 talent. I'm going crazy, I'm really going crazy. Everyone in the audience felt uncomfortable, and many young talents were under a lot of pressure. How could they continue? They were completely crushed. Sister Xuanxuang's talent is so high. Yi Yao was surprised and happy. So scary. Han Ichuan was once again shocked. Zhao Qingkai and Zhao Qingyi were even more surprised. He sized up Chu Hen and the others again. Who were these people? Each of them had such extraordinary talent and bloodline. In fact, Chu Hen was not surprised by Long Xuanshuang's martial arts talent. Although Long Xuanshuang was a woman, her diligence in cultivation was not inferior to any man. Even Chu Hen himself had to admit that he was inferior to him in terms of the degree of control over his true origin energy. Zhao Xuanxiong, who are these people? At this moment, Flying Cloud City Lord Yunshan could no longer suppress the shock in his heart, and his eyes were fixed on Zhao Xuanxiong. The latter spread his hands and shrugged. You ask me, who should I ask? Nonsense, you are the one who brought them here. Hee, don't be so agitated. They are all my brother Shifeng's friends. The speaker did not mean anything, but the listener did. Young Master Qingqing, Xiaomeng, and Yunshan all looked in the direction where Shifeng Zi and the others were. In an instant, Xiaomeng's gaze fell on a young figure beside Shifeng Zi. At the same time, Chu Hen also noticed the deep gaze from the VIP seat. When their gazes met, the air flow was as cold as if it had encountered a vortex. 9th grade martial arts talent, stunning everyone. Immediately, Long Xuanshuang walked in front of the second stone tablet. Her fair hand pressed on the surface of the tablet, and the power of the bloodline boundary leaked out. The temperature on the stage dropped, and frost and snowflakes filled the stage, and below, a white vortex shot out from Long Xuanshuang's wrist and merged into the stone tablet. The dragon was startled and moved up and down. The white vortex swam in the middle of the stone tablet. Everyone held their breath, their heartstrings stretched taut. Just when everyone thought that the vortex was about to enter the saint area, it went in the opposite direction and directly merged into the Xian word below. When the words were filled, the 3 gems beside the Xian word all shone brightly. High-grade Xian body. Wow! A wave of exclamations echoed. What a pity! It's actually just a Xian body. 9th grade martial arts talent. It's indeed a pity. If this is a saint body, it'll be incredible. Some people sighed. Some people secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Elder Lu's face was clearly filled with disappointment. He sighed and wrote 2 lines on the scroll with a brush. Martial arts talent, 9th grade. Bloodline boundary, high-grade Xian body. Amidst the discussion, Long Xuanshuang walked down the stage silently. Even though Chu Hen and the others knew about Long Xuanshuang's background, they still felt a faint sense of pity. What a pity, Sister Xian Shuang, you have such a high martial arts talent. Yi Yao said in a low voice. Long Xuanshuang didn't think much of it. She smiled and said, It's nothing, I feel that it's already very good. Chu Hen's eyes were slightly meaningful, but he didn't say much. At this time, Han Ichuan patted Chu Hen's shoulder. We're all done, it's your turn. After saying that, he even pushed Chu Hen forward. Yes, it's only brother Chu Hen left. Yi Yao was also full of anticipation. His talent must have reached 9th grade. Not only the people around him, even Zhao Qingkai and Zhao Qingyi looked at him with deep eyes. Unable to withstand the pushing and shoving of the few people, Chu Hen helplessly smiled. He immediately walked forward and unhurriedly stepped onto the stone steps of the high platform. This guy can't hide it anymore, haha. Han Ichuan laughed proudly. He had been curious about Chu Hen's secret for a long time. Especially the limit of his bloodline, he was looking forward to it. Seeing the excited expressions of the others, Zhao Qingkai and his sister couldn't help but think. As Chu Hen walked up the stage, everyone's eyes were focused on him. On the VIP seats, young Master Qingqing, Xiaomeng, held his chin with one hand, a deep look on his face. The change in the tomb of immortals and demons. Even though the two had only met from the side, this young man had left a deep impression on Xiaomeng. Junior Chu Hen greets Elder Lu. After a simple fist salute, Chu Hen walked to the first stone tablet. He let out a deep breath, then placed his palm on the surface of the tablet. Inside the dark stone tablet, an ice-cold feeling spread through his palm. Following that, a burst of intense power fluctuation was transmitted from within Chu Hen's Zifu. Vigorous true core power instantly leaked out from the center of his palm. Wang. The strong true essence set off a violent rhythm. Strands of dark blue electric light interweaved like a spider web, immediately enveloping the entire stone tablet within it. This is? What a strong lightning attribute energy. Wait, it's not just the lightning attribute, the color of his true essence is wrong. Everyone was shocked again and again. Looking over, they saw that Chu Hen's true essence had a dark color. This dark color seemed to be fused with a thin gray flame aura, emitting waves of evil energy. Chi. Violent lightning circled around the stone tablet, shaking wantonly like ferocious lightning snakes. In the next instant, the gems on the stone tablet lit up one after another. They bloomed with unprecedented colors. 1, 2, 7, 9. 9 stars lined up, forming a straight line. The entire stone tablet shone brightly, like a divine stone emitting a mysterious aura. 9th grade martial arts talent. The crowd was in an uproar again. Yi Yao, Han Ichuan, and the rest were all excited. Zhao Qingkai, Zhao Qingyi, Yun Xiao, and the other geniuses were all shocked. Young Master Qingqing, Xiao Meng, narrowed his eyes, and his pupils flashed with eagle-like light. He muttered softly, "The heart of Xian Sha's thunder is indeed powerful." Excitement appeared on Elder Lu's face once again. He announced loudly, "Martial arts talent 9, Wang." Before he could finish his sentence, a violent torrent-like rhythm erupted from the stone tablet uncontrollably. The ground trembled, and lightning flashed in all directions. Along with a heavy and muffled bang, all the talisman markings on the stone tablet completely bloomed with dazzling markings of light. Instantly, numerous deep cracks covered the entire stone tablet as if they were crystals cracking apart. It was like a thunderclap. His heart surged like the sea. The formless aura shocked everyone present. 6th Elder's shriveled lips trembled slightly, his voice trembling. Chapter 11-12. Super 9th grade martial arts talent. His heart was overwhelmed with emotions and he was struck by lightning. An incomparably powerful aura swept across the entire central square of the city with a crushing force. Everyone present turned pale with fright. All the city lords stood up, their faces filled with shock. Even Zhao Xuanxiong, the city lord of Hidden Sky City, was taken aback. Each was more unexpected than the last. He could no longer maintain his calm. Super 9th grade martial arts talent? Is that true? I don't know either. What's wrong with this year's martial zone? Where did these people come from? The crowd below the stage was filled with shocked voices and clamors. Pairs of eyes were filled with disbelief as they stared at the cracked and desolate stone tablet. On top of the gloomy monolith, the wantonly flowing electric arcs quickly disappeared. Deep cracks were left on the monolith like a dried-up riverbed. The 9 luxurious and bright gems were still dazzling and lasted for 5 to 6 seconds before gradually dimming. Looking at the young figure in front of the stone tablet, everyone's eyes were filled with shock. Martial arts talent that surpassed 9th grade. The strength of his true inner force caused the stone tablet to crack. Such a scene was definitely unprecedented in the history of the martial zone newcomers assessment. This guy is really scary. Han Ichuan shook his head and laughed at the same time. He originally thought that Long Xuanxuang's 9th grade martial arts talent was already the limit. He did not expect that Chu Hen would once again break a new record. However, it was precisely because the other party was Chu Hen that they were able to quickly accept this reality. The most surprised were naturally Zhao Qingkai and Zhao Qingyi. Especially the former, who had always been dismissive of Chu Hen and constantly mocked him for not being able to enter the martial zone. Now, it seemed that he had eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai, Super ninth grade martial arts talent? Chu Hen muttered to himself. He was somewhat surprised, but it seemed to be reasonable. Although Chu Hen's control of true core energy was not as good as his second sister, Long Xuanshuang, in terms of the strength of his true core energy, Chu Hen was definitely far superior to ordinary people. The power of the 7 stars, the fusion of the Black Killer Divine Lightning Heart, the slaughter power bestowed by the evil god in the Qitian token, and the Sunluo power of the Sunluo king that he obtained in the immortal and devil tomb, with the fusion of many powerful forces, the true origin energy was continuously strengthened. Just based on this point, Chu Hen's martial arts talent was enough to surpass the 9th rank. Good, very good. The fact that Elder Lu said the word good twice in a row was enough to show how excited he was at this moment. He could not wait to register his name on the scroll first. Chu Hen, right? Next up is the bloodline limit test. The eyes of everyone below the stage lit up. Some were looking forward to it, while others were nervous. Han Yichuan and Qiao Shaowan looked at each other. The former raised his eyebrows and smiled. This is the moment I've been waiting for, haha. Yi Yao rolled her eyes. Don't let Big Brother Chu Hen's setback make you unable to recover. I won't. I can accept it even if he has a high-grade holy body. Haha. Han Yichuan smiled. To be honest, although they had been together for a long time, the secret of Chu Hen had always shrouded Han Yichuan's heart. What was the bloodline limit of the other party? It had not been announced yet. He naturally wanted to take this opportunity to find out more. Chu Hen walked to the other side of the high platform with steady steps and walked to the second stone tablet. The bloodline limit test. Looking at the stone tablet with the words Holy and Xian carved on it, Chu Hen's gaze was deep. The side profile of his handsome face revealed an unswerving determination. The entire square gradually returned to silence. The huge place was so quiet that one could even hear a pin drop on the ground. A few city lords who were used to seeing the world frowned and had solemn expressions. Buzz. Chu Hen gently closed his eyes, and the world returned to silence. Accompanied by a piercingly cold tremor, an invisible wave of air spread out. Chu Hen suddenly opened his eyes, and there were traces of black light surging in his deep pupils. The next moment, a layer of illusory black flames spread out from Chu Hen's body. A fierce and overbearing aura spread out. An illusory black shadow appeared behind Chu Hen. The black shadow stuck closely to Chu Hen's back. Mysterious and strange, is this his bloodline limit? Han Yichuan murmured softly. His aura is so restrained. I can't feel any power leaking out, Qiao Shaowan agreed. Shifeng Zi's old eyes narrowed slightly, and he was deep in thought. Everyone's heartstrings were taut, and they didn't dare to breathe too loudly. Even young Master Qingqing, Xiaomeng, subconsciously stood up from his seat, his sharp eyes staring at the other party like an eagle. Buzz! Chu Hen stretched out his left arm, and there seemed to be a vortex surging in the air. He steadily and forcefully pressed his palm on the stone tablet. Accompanied by a pulling force, a wisp of black light circling around his arm immediately darted out and swept toward the stone tablet. The moment to witness was about to arrive. The black light was like a small horned dragon that flowed up and down the stone tablet. Everyone's hearts were in their throat. It should be the Saint Physique. Someone clenched his fists and said, a super 9th grade talent and a Saint Physique will definitely cause a stir among the martial ancestor realm's upper echelons. Buzz buzz. Just when the atmosphere in the entire square reached an extremely anxious state, something that surprised everyone happened. The black aura seemed to have lost its way as it wantonly flew about among the stone tablet. The runes on the stone tablet also flashed chaotically, and a chaotic aura spread out endlessly. Then, with a heavy muffled sound, the black aura suddenly exploded into a circle of chaotic air waves. This sudden scene caused everyone present to be dumbfounded. Everyone, including Chu Hen, had a look of astonishment on their faces. On the huge stone tablet, the words Saint and Xian were still cold, and the 6 gems on it were still dim and lusterless. Confusion, astonishment, and bewilderment. What was going on? The stone tablet actually didn't react? It's not? He doesn't even have a Xian physique, someone said quietly from the crowd. It was like a huge rock had been smashed into the calm surface of a lake, causing a huge commotion. Wow! There was an uproar below the stage. Everyone instantly felt that their bottom line was being refreshed. Ha 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 ha! A martial talent beyond the 9th level is actually only limited to the battle physique bloodline. Amazing! What evil things did he do in his previous life to have such a drop? Someone made a sarcastic remark. That's a real pity. A martial talent beyond the 9th level. Even if he only has a Xian physique, the sect would still focus on cultivating him. Yeah. But he didn't even reach the Xian physique, such a great waste of talent. There were also people who felt that it was a pity. The entire Flying Cloud City was in an uproar. After 5 consecutive Saint physiques, another 2 consecutive times made people sigh incessantly. Long Xuanxuang's 9th level martial talent. Chu Hen's martial talent beyond the 9th level. But the limit of the bloodline was unexpected. This can't be real, right? Han Ichuan couldn't believe it was true. Chu Hen didn't even have a Xian physique? No one in the victorious East State would believe this if they heard about it. Less than a year ago, he was a ruthless character who single-handedly destroyed the Thunder Saint Palace. Such a terrifying master's bloodline limit was the battle physique? They couldn't believe it no matter what. There must be a problem. Let's test again. Qiao Shaowan echoed. It's the same no matter how many times you test it. Zhao Qingkai seized the opportunity to counterattack. This is a testing stone brought by a martial ancestor, it can't be wrong. You! Qiao Shaowan was about to retaliate, but she was stopped by Long Xuanxuang. Let her say what she wants. Among them, Long Xuanxuang understood Chu Hen the most. Even though she didn't ask about Chu Hen's bloodline limit, she was sure that it wasn't all he was capable of. It was very likely that Chu Hen did it on purpose. Just as Chu Hen thought, what was tested was not the bloodline limit of the demonic pupil sacred physique, but the chaotic physique that he named. Firstly, he wanted to hide his demonic pupil sacred physique. Secondly, he wanted to know what level the chaotic physique was. However, the result was out of Chu Hen's expectations. The testing stone didn't react at all. Chapter 11-13. Level 9 Martial Arts Talent. Even the Xian body had not reached the limit of the bloodline. No one would have thought that these 2 characteristics would appear on a single person. If Long Xuanxuang's level 9 martial arts talent and high-grade Xian body's bloodline limit were said to be impressive, Chu Hen's performance was absolutely blinding. Martial arts talent, level 9 martial arts talent. Bloodline limit. Elder Lu was in a difficult position. This was the first time he had seen such a situation after so many years of being in charge of the newcomer assessment. He had thought that he would be recruiting a heaven-defying monster. In the blink of an eye, his heart that had risen to the peak fell to the bottom. He looked at Chu Hen once again, and finally sighed helplessly. Next, Chu Hen, who was also filled with confusion, walked down the stage amidst the discussions. It shouldn't be. He knew very well just how powerful his chaotic body was. There was no reason why he had not even reached the Xian body. Big brother Chu Hen, are you all right? Yi Yao asked with concern. Brother, are you sure you're not messing with us? Han Ichuan put his arm around Chu Hen's shoulder and whispered, Why don't you tell me the truth? I won't leak it out. Chu Hen was both speechless and amused. He shook his head. I don't know what's going on either. The few of them were speechless and did not know what to say. Zhao Qingkai, who was not far away, wanted to mock them, but she swallowed her words. Although she did not like Chu Hen's group and did not want to see them in the limelight, she could not deny that Chu Hen's level 9 martial arts talent had shocked her. While she felt that it was a pity, Zhao Qingkai secretly sighed in relief. Fortunately, Chu Han did not have a saint body, otherwise it would be too scary. Zhao Qingkai was not the only one who sighed in relief. All the young geniuses present, including Zhao Qingyi and Yun Chao, felt relieved. A pearl was too dazzling, and the other gems were destined to be the background. Young Master Qingqing, Xiao Meng, narrowed his eyes slightly, and the corners of his lips curled up into an undetectable smile. What a surprising fellow! As time passed, one young elite after another went up the stage to be tested. Due to the series of assessments being too shocking, the atmosphere after that was rather dull. Soon, the rest of the new disciples finished their evaluations. The 9th-level martial art talent that made people scream did not appear again. He was the only son of the Eagle City's Castellan Yao. However, his martial arts talent was only at the 6th level. Although it was outstanding, it was not amazing. The review is over. Elder Lu heaved a long sigh of relief. He then closed the scroll and turned his gaze to young Master Qingqing, Xiaomeng. The latter nodded, then stood up and walked to the front of the stage. Everyone, we have a basic understanding of your aptitude and potential. Next is the real test. His gentle tone was especially inspiring to the ears of the crowd. Xiaomeng raised one hand and pointed to the north of the square. Later, we will give out the mission card. As long as you complete the mission, no matter how unsatisfactory your martial arts talent and bloodline limit are, you can enter our martial ancestor. Of course, Xiaomeng paused and his tone was sharp. The mission has its difficulties. If you lose your life during the mission, the sect will not be responsible. Die. The two cold words immediately caused countless people to feel a chill in their hearts. How ruthless! They have not even entered the martial ancestor, but they are already showing their strength. In my opinion, why don't we go to the Han Yun sect? At least it is not so strict. We can still stay alive and become a new disciple. That makes sense. Whispers could be heard from below the stage. After all, most of the people present were geniuses from their clans. They had their own pride and were somewhat unhappy with the irresponsible behavior of the martial ancestor. But in reality, everyone who understood the martial ancestor knew very well. This sect had always been known for its cruel competition. The internal disciples of the sect were constantly fighting, and they were all trying their best to climb up the ranks. In the past, many top-notch geniuses in the martial ancestor were short-lived. Xiaomeng was too lazy to explain and directly led the martial ancestor disciples back to the north side of the plaza. The various geniuses gradually dispersed as they talked. Hidden Sky City's city lord Zhao Xuanxiong also returned to Shifeng Zi's side. Haha, brother Shifeng, these few young friends of yours have really opened my eyes. He came up with a burst of praise. Shifeng Zi smiled. Brother Zhao, your son and daughter are also dragons and phoenixes among men. Zhao Xuanxiong shook his head and looked at Yi Yao with a gaze full of praise. Then, he looked at Chu Hen with a profound expression. Although the testing stone tablet showed that Chu Hen's bloodline had not even reached the profound body realm, Zhao Xuanxiong did not know why, but he felt that he could not see through this young man in front of him. After chatting for a while, a young man and a woman in gorgeous clothes suddenly walked over. The two were not strangers, but official disciples of the martial ancestor. City Lord Zhao. The young man cupped his fists and slightly bowed. Zhao Xuanxiong did not understand and replied, "Is there something the two of you need?" Elder Lu personally ordered that City Lord Zhao's son and daughter do not need to participate in the mission assessment and can directly become martial ancestor disciples. The moment these words came out, everyone could not help but be stunned. Zhao Qingkai and Zhao Qingyi glanced at each other in surprise. Then, the young man turned his gaze towards Shifeng Zi and said to Yao, Han Ichuan and Long Xuanshuang, "The three of you also do not need to participate in the mission assessment." Oh! The three were startled and looked at each other. "Why?" Han Ichuan asked. "The 5 of you have enough potential to be chosen by our sect, so naturally, You do not need to participate in the mission assessment, the man explained as he took 5 tokens from the hands of the young woman behind him. This is the token of our sect's disciple. Please bring it into the sect within 10 days. After saying this, the man distributed the tokens to Zhao Qinkai, Han Yichuan, Yi Yao and the other 2. At the same time, the young city lord of Flying Cloud City, Yun Xiao, also received the token. The token was like jade, about the size of half a palm. The sides were inlaid with golden lace, and the word Marshal was engraved on the front. The back was as smooth as a mirror, without a single flaw. Have we been selected internally? Han Yichuan continued to ask. You can say that. A pleasant surprise. Everyone's face lit up with excitement. Haha, looks like the martial ancestor is afraid that you guys will run away. Zhao Xuanxiong laughed loudly. The few of them immediately came to a realization. Although they had participated in the preliminary assessment, they were not official disciples yet. They could change their minds at any time. Currently, there were already many young talents who had left Flying Cloud City, heading straight for the Han Yun sect, Qixiao Pavilion and other large sections. It did not matter if the others left. However, these few outstanding geniuses must be firmly grasped in their hands. Therefore, they used this method to make them stay. What about Brother Chu Hen? Yi Yao quickly asked. The young man looked at Chu Hen meaningfully. Those who did not receive the token, please participate in the assessment later on. After that, the 2 of them did not explain too much and directly turned around to leave. The other party's reply inevitably made Chu Hen feel a little awkward. Yi Yao angrily scolded, "That's too stingy. Brother Chu Hen is after all a martial talent beyond the 9th grade. I'm not going to the martial ancestor, I want to carry out the mission with Brother Chu Hen." Chu Hen smiled and patted her head. Alright, since they do this, they naturally have their own standards. Since you guys don't have to carry out the mission, then go to the martial ancestor and wait for me. At least you can familiarize yourself with the environment of the martial ancestor first. Brother Chu Hen's words make sense. If we can choose a more comfortable method, then we don't have to go through so much trouble. Zhao Xuanxiong smiled gently. Chu Hen nodded. The mayor is right, let's go get the mission token. Without further ado, Chu Hen and the rest directly headed to the north side of the square. There were already a few long queues on the north side of the square. At the front of the queue, there was a wide long table. On the long table, there were many dark-colored metal tokens. The appearance of the token was similar to the token of the sect disciples. The size was also the same. However, the color and material were different. The speed of receiving the mission token was very fast. There was even no need to register. Soon, it was Chu Hen's turn. May I ask if I can choose the mission? Chu Hen asked. What did you say? The martial ancestor disciple opposite the long table did not seem to hear him clearly. May I choose the location of the mission? Chu Hen asked again. This time, he was not carrying out the martial ancestor assessment alone. There was another thing that he had to do, and that was to send Xiao Shaowan to the ancestral butterfly clan. If the location of the mission was near the Ganchi mountain range or in the same direction, then it would save a lot of time. No! The 2 decisive words rejected Chu Hen's request. All the missions are randomly assigned, don't think too much. The young disciple coldly gave the order. After saying that, he casually picked up a token and handed it over. Right at this moment, a voice that carried a hint of provocation sounded out from behind. What mission do you want to choose? Chapter 11:14. What mission do you want to choose? Just as the martial organization disciple was about to hand over the mission token to Chu Hen, a voice that carried a hint of provocation rang out from behind him. Chu Hen's gaze lightly lifted. A young figure with a scholarly temperament, but a haughty eyebrow, had unknowingly stood beside him. Xiao, senior brother Xiao, the Wu Zong disciple retracted his hand and instinctively took back the mission token that was pointing at Chu Hen. Xiao Meng smirked and looked at Chu Hen playfully. Looks like Li Yanqing's blade didn't kill you. Li Yanqing? 10-feathered demon blade? The Wu Zong disciple at the side did not dare to say anything. At the same time, he couldn't help but look at Chu Hen with a little more doubt. Are there any test missions in the southwest of the Qinqing state? Chu Hen did not answer the question and explained his intentions. Southwest? The Wu Zong disciple was stunned. It was not a specific area. Find one. Xiao Meng did not even ask for a reason, and said to the Wu Zong disciple directly. The young disciple was stunned. That was against the rules of the sect. Even so, the disciple did not dare to refute Xiao Meng. He immediately took out a shining black token from the mission token on the table. Senior brother Xiao. The Wu Zong disciple handed the token to Xiao Meng respectfully. Xiao Meng took it with one hand and handed it to Chu Hen. The test will last for 2 months. Don't disappoint me, Chu Hen's eyes narrowed. He could not help but wonder why the other party would help him. Thank you. He then nodded and took the mission token from the other party's hand. He cupped his fists and turned to leave. He had just taken 2 steps when Xiao Meng's deep voice came from behind. A nice surprise. You didn't die in the tomb of immortals and devils. Chu Hen's figure slightly paused. He glanced behind him and continued to walk forward. A nice surprise? It seemed like a few simple words, but there was a deeper meaning behind them. Back in the immortal and devil tomb, the two of them did not have any direct contact. From the fierce battle with the 24 demon blood guards to when Chu Hen helped by Qin Yu take on the killing blow of the 10-feathered demon blade Li Yanqing, all of this happened in just a short moment. Where did this surprise come from? Big brother Chu Hen, did you get the mission card? When Chu Hen walked out of the North Square, Yi Yao and the others immediately surrounded him. Xiao Shaowan, in particular, was even more excited. Chu Hen nodded and showed the mission card to everyone. How do I check the mission? Yi Yao continued to ask. It's simple, just pour in your true inner force. City Lord Zhao Xuanxiong smiled. Immediately, under the gazes of several people, Chu Hen's palm overflowed with a wisp of dense soft light, and the true core strength that was like a gossamer instantly enveloped the token. Along with a slight energy fluctuation, the token immediately shone with a strange light. The densely packed light spots rose up like the light of fireflies. Then, the fireflies arranged themselves into 3 hazy, blurry words on the top of the token. Crescent bone. What's a crescent bone? Is it a kind of bone? Hidden Sky City, City Lord's Mansion. Yi Yao asked in a puzzled voice. After receiving the mission card, Zhao Xuanxiong, Shifeng Zi, and the others immediately left Flying Cloud City. Originally, City Lord Yunshan said that he would invite Shifeng Zi to the mansion after the test. After all, it was only Yunshan's wishful thinking, so Shifeng Zi tactfully declined. However, Yunshan was rather courteous and used the City Lord's Mansion's teleportation formation to send everyone back to the transfer station near Hidden Sky City. Thus, they could avoid the tiredness of the journey. After returning to Hidden Sky City, Shifeng Zi, Chu Hen, and the others did not immediately return to their mansion. Instead, they went to the City Lord's Mansion under Zhao Xuanxiong's hospitality. You don't even know about the crescent bone? Isn't your knowledge a little too shallow? You even have a prominent saint physique. Zhao Qingkai said disdainfully as he glanced at Yi Yao. Don't you know it's embarrassing? Yi Yao retorted. Do you know? Tell me about it then. Of course I know, but I don't want to tell you. Qingkai. Zhao Qing hurriedly pulled him back, then walked forward and said, The crescent bone is a special plant. Because the shape of its leaves is extremely similar to the moon, and it even emits gentle moonlight at night, it's called the crescent bone, I see. Thank you for telling me, Brother Qingyi, Yi Yao said with a faint smile. Zhao Qingkai, who was standing by the side, pouted as though she was blaming Zhao Qingyi. The latter nodded politely and continued to say, The crescent bone's growth cycle is relatively short, and the conditions for its growth are very harsh. The harsher the environment, the more likely the crescent bone will grow. As far as we know, in the entire Deep Star State, only the Forest Sacrifice Forest has it. Forest Sacrifice Forest? The few of them were stunned. Qiao Shaowan asked impatiently, "Where is that? Is it far from the Ganqi mountain range?" Ganqi mountain range? Zhao Qingyi and her sister, as well as the city governor Zhao Xuanxiong, were all surprised. "You want to go to the Ganqi mountain range?" "That's right," Qiao Shaowan affirmed. "The Forest Sacrifice Forest is at the border of the Deep Star State, and the Ganqi mountain range is beyond the Deep Star State." As Zhao Qingyi spoke, she looked at Chu Hen and said, "If you want to carry out the martial ancestors' entrance examination, then head to the Ganqi mountain range to settle some matters. I'm afraid 2 months of time is too rushed." "Is there not enough time?" Qiao Shaowan looked at Chu Hen and the latter smiled at her. "It's fine. Since I've promised you, I'll definitely complete your task first." Even if the martial ancestor had to go, sending Qiao Shaowan back to the ancestral butterfly clan was the most important task at the moment. The others were also silent. After all, they could all sense the changes in Qiao Shaowan's body. Then, the martial ancestor. Qiao Shaowan was a little hesitant. "I'll definitely go to the martial ancestor too," Chu Hen replied resolutely. Then, he said to Zhao Qingyi, "Brother Qingyi, can you give me a map?" Zhao Qingyi was stunned at first, then nodded, "Of course." Soon, the servants of the city governor's mansion brought over a scroll that was half a meter wide. The scroll was opened, and a detailed geographical map was spread out on the table in the hall. "This is the map of the Deep Star State." Zhao Qingyi pointed at the center, "Our current location, Hidden Sky City." Then, she pointed in the southwest direction. "Along the way, we'll pass through 7 mountain ranges, 6 forests, a dozen cities, and 3 empires, and we'll reach the Forest Sacrifice Forest." Chu Hen's gaze was fixed on the location she was pointing at. From the map, it could be seen that the Forest Sacrifice Forest was at the border of the Deep Star State, and the southern area was beyond the Deep Star State. The Forest Sacrifice Forest is connected to a dangerous forbidden area, Silent Hill. There was a long mountain range on the map, and 3 eye-catching red words were written. Ganqi Mountain Range. Qiao Shaowan's eyes lit up as she pointed at a mountain area next to Silent Hill and exclaimed, "That's right." Zhao Qingyi nodded with certainty. "After reaching the Forest Sacrifice Forest, we'll have to pass through Silent Hill to reach Ganqi Mountain Range. That's quite close." "It does look close," Zhao Qingyi said as she shook her head. "But whether it's the depths of the Forest Sacrifice Forest or Silent Hill, they're all filled with danger and traps. In fact, I'm more willing to give you the suggestion to go around. Go around the Wanxiong State, which is west of Ganqi Mountain Range, and you'll be able to avoid Silent Hill." "How long will that take?" Chu Hen asked. "About 3 months." It was obvious that Zhao Qingyi was suggesting for Chu Hen to carry out the assessment mission given by the martial sect first, and head to Ganqi Mountain Range after reporting to the sect. That way they would have sufficient time. At the same time, the few of them could tell that Zhao Qingyi was rather wary of Silent Hill. However, Chu Hen smiled faintly. "Thank you for your suggestion, Brother Qingyi, but I still want to give it a try." Chapter 11:15. "We'll leave tomorrow morning." Without any hesitation, Chu Hen's attitude was very firm. Because the more suggestions the crowd gave, the more pressure Qiao Shaowan would feel. And Chu Hen did not want the other party to feel apologetic towards him. "Big brother Chu Hen, I'll accompany you," Yi Yao said. "I'll go too," Long Xuan echoed softly. "No need." Chu Hen refused bluntly and looked at them with a particularly solemn expression. "You go to the martial sect first, I'll look for you later." The assessment task was to escort Qiao Shaowan back to the ancestral butterfly clan. If he had to do these 2 things at the same time would be quite tight. Chu Hen did not have 100% certainty that he would be able to return within 2 months. At that time, he could only think of other ways to borrow the time wheel. In this way, the martial sect would need someone to provide support. Therefore, it was the best choice for the others to go to the martial sect first. But seeing Chu Hen's resolute look, Yi Yao could only obediently agree. I know. Senior Shifeng. Chu Hen turned to look at Shifeng Zi. Without waiting for the other party to finish, Shifeng Zi waved his hand and said, Don't worry about me. This old man is like a wild crane, and I'm used to wandering around freely. Wherever I go is home. Brother Shifeng, please stay in my hidden sky city for the time being. City Lord Zhao Xuanxiong stood up from his seat and laughed loudly. You and I hit it off the moment we met. These juniors have all gone to the martial sect, so the two of us are probably bored to death. If Brother Shifeng stays here, we can play chess, drink some wine, and at the same time ask you about rune arrays. Haha, it's rare for Brother Zhao to invite me, it would be impolite for this old man to refuse. Very good, haha. If Shifeng Zi stayed in the hidden sky city, Chu Hen naturally felt relieved. From the victorious East State to the Deep Star State, he had treated Shifeng Zi as if he were a senior, and he had earned his respect. Then, Zhao Xuanxiong took out a smooth jade and placed it in front of Chu Hen. Little friend Chu Hen, this is the keepsake of my hidden sky city's city lord. Take it with you, and with it, you can use the teleportation formations of the major cities in the Deep Star province at any time. What? Chu Hen's eyes lit up, and he respectfully received the jade pendant with both hands. Thank you, City Lord. With this castellan's token, one could use the various teleportation formations to transfer between regions, which would greatly reduce the time needed to reach the forest, sacrifice forest. What? Zhao Qingkai pursed his lips in dissatisfaction and muttered softly, Why is Dad so nice to an outsider? Her brother, Zhao Qingyi, was also surprised. The city lord's personal keepsake represented Zhao Xuanxiong himself. Its value was in no way inferior to the city lord royal seal. Even the siblings could not use it casually, much less an outsider. The other party's behavior really surprised the siblings. On the other hand, Zhao Xuanxiong was very carefree, and he was not worried about Chu Hen's character. He laughed heartily and said, It's getting late. Everyone can stay in my city lord mansion tonight. I've already sent people to prepare a banquet to congratulate these juniors for becoming martial ancestor. At the same time, I wish little friend Chu Hen a smooth return, ha ha ha. Although Chu Hen did not want to trouble Zhao Xuanxiong anymore, he could not refuse such hospitality, so he could only agree. At night, the city lord mansion welcomed a rare liveliness and relaxation. Soon, a night flew by. The next morning, Chu Hen and Xiao Shaowan, who were ready to leave, were sent out of the mansion by the crowd. Big brother Chu Hen, you must come back in time. And Shaowan, will we meet again? She did not feel anything yesterday. When it was time to separate, Yi Yao could not help but feel a little sad. Her relationship with Xiao Shaowan had become very close, to the extent that they could talk about anything. Of course. Xiao Shaowan held Yi Yao's hand. We will definitely meet again. Don't miss me too much, and little Noni too. As she spoke, Xiao Shaowan rubbed the head of the yin-yang beast, Noni. The latter made a soft meow sound as if it was saying goodbye. Why isn't Han Ichuan here yet? Did he drink too much last night? I'll go call him. Yi Yao looked around at the people around her. Other than Zhao Qingkai, even Han Ichuan was not here. Of course, Zhao Qingkai did not like to interact with them. He had no one to rely on if he did not come, but it was a little unreasonable that Han Ichuan was not here. Forget it. Xiao Shaowan pulled him back and shook her head with a smile. It's not a life and death separation. I will come back to you soon. Senior West Wind, Sister Xuanshuang and Governor Zhao. Thank you, Xiao Shaowan said gratefully. Take care, Xiao Ye. Shifeng Zi smiled. Long Xuanshuang also nodded. Her beautiful eyes turned to look at Chu Hen behind her. 2 months later, if you don't come to Wuzong, we will not stay there. Chu Hen smiled, his finger across his nose. Have a little confidence in me. Long Xuanxuang pursed her red lips, but did not say anything. Chu Hen generously waved his hand. It's getting late, let's go. After a simple reminder, Chu Hen and Xiao Shaowan left the governor's mansion and took the first step to Kunchi mountain range. The street was a little chilly in the early morning. The hazy morning light dyed the sky in all kinds of strange shape. Xiao Shaowan silently walked beside Chu Hen, the two long shadows of the setting sun moving forward. A lot of changes, Chu Hen suddenly said. Xiao Shaowan was stunned, looking up at him in confusion. The corners of Chu Hen's eyes twitched and a gentle smile appeared on his lips. Since leaving Dongxing State, there has been a lot of changes. It's a lot quieter, really. Xiao Shaowan was stunned, just because it's getting harder and harder to control the power in your body? You? Xiao Shaowan looked at him in surprise. Chu Hen smiled slightly. How could the other party's changes hide from his pair of demon eyes? As if reaching a critical point, as if a chaotic torrent had spread to the shore of a dam, Xiao Shaowan found it increasingly difficult to suppress the chaotic power in her body. It was precisely because of these uncertain variables that could happen at any time. That was why Chu Hen put Xiao Shaowan's matter before the Wuzong assessment. I finally know why so many women like you. Many? Why don't I know? Chu Hen was puzzled. Xiao Shaowan's big eyes rolled. Then she pretended to be confused and shook her head. Think about it yourself. Speaking of which, that bastard Han Ichuan is too ungrateful. Even Brother Qingyi came to send me off, but he didn't come. As soon as she finished speaking, Chu Hen raised his handsome eyebrows and smiled lightly. It's here. What's here? Look ahead. Chu Hen looked up and gestured. Following the direction he was pointing, Xiao Shaowan looked forward, only to see a familiar young figure leaning against a tree at the corner of the street. Han Ichuan? Xiao Shaowan was stunned. Han Ichuan thought that he was cool and shook his head. I think I heard someone scolding me just now. Why are you here? I'm sending you off. Han Ichuan walked towards the two of them. I've decided to send you directly to Kunchi mountain range. How about it? Isn't that nice? Are you touched? Are you surprised? Do you want to cry? You're crazy. Have you been infected by Mufeng? Xiao Shaowan scolded. Aren't you going to Wuzong? What's the hurry? You can go in 2 months, right? Chu Hen. That's your business, it's none of my business. Chu Hen smiled. The gradually rising sun shrouded the huge hidden sky city. The blue sky was vast and boundless. Chapter 11:16. The forest's sacrifice jungle was as vast as the sea. Huge towering trees were so luxuriant that they looked like a forest of thorns that covered the sky and covered the earth. After more than 10 days of non-stop travel and multiple teleportation transmissions, Chu Hen, Han Ichuan, and Xiao Shaowan successfully arrived at the edge of the forest sacrifice jungle. We're finally here. Han Ichuan let out a long sigh as he looked at the endless thorns in front of him. Chu Hen's expression relaxed a little. He nodded and said, It's all thanks to the token city Lord Zhao gave us. Otherwise, it would have taken us a month. Although Chu Hen had some understanding, he had still underestimated the size of the Deep Star State. Under normal circumstances, it would have taken them at least twice as long to reach this place. However, the token city Lord Zhao Xuanxiong gave him allowed him to use any teleportation portal in the Deep Star State at any time. There was no need for any waiting, so it saved them a lot of effort. The vast forest sacrifice jungle was like a gloomy sea of trees. Even the sky was shrouded in a gloomy gray fog. The lush trees were more than 100 meters tall, and the trees in the deeper regions were even larger. Waves of gloomy aura assaulted them. It's really gloomy. Han Ichuan shrunk his neck and rubbed his palms together. Let's go in. Chu Hen's eyes flashed with a hint of determination. Without another word, he dashed into the jungle in front of the two. The two did not hesitate at all and followed closely behind, jumping into the jungle one after the other. The gloomy and bleak forest gave off a bone-chilling coldness. The ferocious aura lurking in the shadows spread in all directions. Han Ichuan frowned and said cautiously, "It's really a little uncomfortable, it's fine. Just follow me and ignore everything else," Chu Hen said in a low voice. Hee, I'm relieved to hear that." Han Ichuan squinted his eyes and smiled. Swish, swish, swish. The three of them moved like the wind, shuttling through the forest like spiritual geese. It could be said that not a single leaf touched their bodies, and their speed was extremely fast. Many poisonous creatures and ferocious beasts lurking in the forest launched an attack, but none of them could even get close to Chu Hen. All of them were shredded to pieces by the true essence blades released by Chu Hen. The forest sacrifice forest that was riddled with danger was instead unobstructed to Chu Hen. Soon, the three of them entered the depths of the forest sacrifice forest. A series of earth-shattering roars of giant beasts resounded, startling the birds and beasts. In front of him, the glint of swords and the shadow of swords could be seen. Waves of chi surged to the heavens. Amidst the chaotic commotion, there were cries of surprise from the humans. "You idiots, the crescent bone was shattered by your sword energy. Who do you think you are to have the qualifications to lecture me? I was the one who discovered this crescent moon bone first. If it weren't for you guys, I would have gotten it long ago. So what if I found out? Even if you get it first, I can still snatch it away. Let's see if you have the ability." A series of chaotic battles broke out in the forest sacrifice forest. Hearing the movements in front of them, Han Ichuan and Xiao Xiaowan's eyes lit up. "Crescent moon bone, Chu Hen, did you hear that?" "Yes." Chu Hen nodded. "Looks like you're not the only one on this mission. Newcomers can snatch from each other." Han Ichuan analyzed. "I know. Aren't you going to take a look?" Xiao Xiaowan asked, puzzled. Chu Hen's eyes were very calm. "Let's not care about that, let's go to the Ganchi mountain range first, The two of them could not help but be stunned. Xiao Xiaowan said, "Let's finish the mission first. Your time is a bit tight." "It's fine, I'll finish it when we return." Chu Hen did not intend to stay in the forest sacrifice forest. Since he was not the only newcomer on this mission, even if he found the crescent moon bone now, he was afraid that a fight would be unavoidable. In that case, the time spent here would increase again. Without any intention of stopping, Chu Hen increased his speed and directly dashed towards the deepest part of the forest sacrifice forest. "Listen to him." Han Ichuan nodded at Xiao Xiaowan and quickly caught up with him. Xiao Xiaowan bit her red lips and looked at the young and slender figure in front of her with gratitude in her eyes. Immediately, she did not care about anything else around her and immediately sped up. The forest sacrifice forest is getting more and more lively these few days. Another 3 people are coming. Look at how hurried they are. Have they already obtained the crescent moon bone? A few hundred meters away, a few figures hiding in the bushes suddenly discovered the location of Chu Hen and the other 2. The mission given by a martial ancestor was still rather difficult for some people. Other than solo missions, there was no lack of teamwork. If they worked in a team, the risk of completing the mission would also be greatly reduced. "Let's go, stop those 3 people." The leader had already recognized Chu Hen and the other 2 as another group of collaborators. The others did not hesitate and immediately prepared to attack. However, in front of the few people, a huge and incomparably furious beast suddenly dashed out from the depths of the forest. The huge beast's entire body was crimson red, as if it was covered with a layer of strong and violent heavy armor. Its huge and ferocious head was like a giant lizard-dragon snake. The raging flames were comparable to a fierce flood as it rushed all the way. Its sharp claws were like hooks as it directly pounced towards Chu Hen and the other 2. A rank 9 heavenly beast, Wrath Lizard King. The few people hiding in the dark were shocked. "Damn, aren't those 3 guys too unlucky?" Before they finished speaking, Chu Hen's figure did not even stop for a moment as he dashed towards the Wrath Lizard King. In the process of moving, Chu Hen's body emitted a dazzling lightning. Berserk lightning interweaved and revolved around Chu Hen's body, transforming into a congealed huge lightning sword. Bang! A heavy explosion sound shook the heavens and the earth. The peerless huge sword pierced through the Wrath Lizard King's chest. The lightning that blossomed wantonly was like a dazzling spark. Purring! A heavy sound rang out, and the huge beast fell to the ground, letting out a final muffled howl. Upon seeing this scene, the expressions of the rookies hiding in the dark changed drastically. The thought of intercepting Chu Hen and the other two disappeared in an instant. All of them were stunned, their expressions comical. Is this guy really here to carry out the martial ancestor mission? Should be. With such powerful strength, he actually didn't get a predetermined spot. As the few of them were filled with bewilderment, Chu Hen and the other two disappeared into the dark depths of the forest without looking back. They did not stop along the way, cutting their way through the thistles and thorns. Chu Hen was like a sharp arrow that pierced through the sea of trees, straight ahead, directly passing through the two ends of the sacrifice forest. One after another, huge beasts were killed by Chu Hen. Many of the newcomers who were carrying out the assessment mission looked at the back of the trio in fear. After passing through the forest for 3 consecutive days, Chu Hen, Han Ichuan and Xiao Shaowan finally arrived at the other end of the sacrifice forest in the early morning of the 4th day. What appeared in front of them was a different scene. It was clearly early morning, but it was as dark as dusk. A thick fog enveloped the long valley and mountain ridges. This was a kind of indescribable silence. There were no cries of birds or beasts, no roars of demonic beasts, not even the sound of the wind blowing through the rocks. Chapter 11:17. Everything was deathly silent as if it was still. Long valleys and mountain ridges were enshrouded in heavy gloomy fog. Looking at the strange place that seemed to be another world, Chu Hen's eyebrows faintly surged with some cautiousness. This should be the so-called Silent Hill. Han Ichuan sniffed and rubbed his palms back and forth a few times. It's really scary. It's so quiet that it makes me feel uncomfortable. Next to him, Xiao Shaowan frowned with a worried expression on her face. What's wrong? Do you feel uncomfortable? Chu Hen turned to look at her and asked. Xiao Shaowan shook her head. I'm fine. Let's go. Okay. Chu Hen nodded slightly. Then, he moved and took the lead to fly into the sky. The other two hurriedly followed him. Although the atmosphere in Silent Hill was very strange with no sunlight, wind, and rain, compared to the forest sacrifice jungle, their field of vision was much wider. They could see the environment below clearly. Without the dense jungle, they didn't have to worry about the dangers below, so they could fly directly in the sky. There were towering mountains and craggy rock. Barren mountains stood tall with steep cliffs that were like the edge of a knife. All of a sudden, an extremely dense and ancient aura rushed over. It was like a desolate aura that had been covered in dust for tens of thousands of years without experiencing the baptism of wind and frost. Look, Xiao Shaowan pointed and said in surprise. Chu Hen and Han Ichuan's eyes darkened when they saw a giant standing on the top of a cliff in front of them. The giant was wearing heavy armor, and his hands were placed on a huge sword. The sword was pointing downward, and the sharp edge was inserted into the rock. The invisible killing deterrence caused fear to rise in people's hearts. Is it a stone statue? Han Ichuan asked in a deep voice. No. Xiao Shaowan denied and said firmly. It's an ancient corpse. What? A corpse? Not only was Han Ichuan surprised, even Chu Hen had a look of astonishment on his face. How do you know? The former asked in confusion. I'm very sensitive to the aura of darkness and evil. I can feel the ancient aura of death on its body. If it's a stone statue, it won't have the aura of death. Xiao Shaowan answered affirmatively. Chu Hen did not doubt this at all. This was because he could also sense the dense netherworld energy from the giant's body. He's been dead for so long, yet he hasn't turned into ashes. How strange, Han Ichuan said. As soon as his voice fell, the world trembled with a "wung" sound. In an instant, the giant corpse raised its head, and two blood-red pupils bloomed from the dark helmet. Not good, it heard our voices, Qiao Shaowan quickly said. Whoosh, the giant sword was pulled out of the rock, and the dark black death energy rose from the ancient corpse's body. The giant arrow was waved, and a sword light that was more than 1,000 meters long slashed towards the three people. Chu Hen was slightly shocked, and immediately pushed out a palm to shake off the two people beside him. At the same time, he also retreated. 1. The peerless sword light slashed through the three people, and then fell on a mountain in front of them, instantly splitting the whole mountain in half. Rocks rolled, and mud splashed. The giant corpse leaped up and rushed towards Chu Hen with its sword. The endless death energy was like the raging waves of the sea, showing the power of destruction. It's coming again, Han Ichuan subconsciously reminded. Swoosh, immediately afterward, fist-sized mud mounds suddenly bulged from the rock wall below. The mud mounds quickly bulged and burst open, and then a dense group of black beetles crawled out. They were also emitting the same cold death energy. Their hideous and terrifying bodies were like evil creatures from hell. Han Ichuan's eyes widened, and just as he was about to curse, Qiao Shaowan directly covered his mouth with her hand. Don't talk anymore. Qiao Shaowan stopped him with a voice that was close to that of a mosquito. Han Ichuan immediately reacted and quickly nodded. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The carapace on the back of the black beetles opened, and pairs of thin cicada wings stretched out. Then, they fluttered and flew towards the three people in the air. Damn it! Han Ichuan cursed in his heart, and repeatedly sent out soft palm strikes to shake off these corpse insects. He did not dare to use too much power, and he was afraid that it would alarm other monsters. However, this level of palm energy was not effective against the corpse insect. In the blink of an eye, the two people were surrounded by countless corpse insects. It's over. Just as the two people were in despair, a burst of purple flame suddenly rose from the void like a purple wave. Layers of flames spread all the way in all directions, and wherever it went, the corpse insects were all burned to ashes. The silent burning demon flame burned silently. The earth was dyed into a strange purple color. Chu Hen's eyes seemed to be dyed purple, and he indifferently looked at the sky. The ancient corpse giant swung its sword, trying to sweep everything away. The corner of Chu Hen's eyes narrowed, and the 5 stars in his deep and evil pupils rotated. The space trembled, and a purple dragon flame rose into the sky, like a giant python coiling around the ancient corpse giant. Swoosh! The soaring purple flame burned everything, and the ancient corpse giant was bathed in fire. After struggling for a while, it immediately turned into a pile of dust. The crisis was over. Han Ichuan and Qiao Shaowan could not help but feel relieved. Then, they looked at Chu Hen with a bit of gratitude in their eyes. The three of them looked at each other and understood each other's intentions. At this moment, they clearly understood the meaning of Silent Hill. Complete silence. Anyone who came here was not allowed to make a single sound. Chu Hen signaled the two to follow him, and then he turned around and left. The huge mountain ridge once again returned to a deathly silence. After that, more and more corpses appeared in their sight. The gloomy environment, the desolate mountain. The monsters exuding a thick aura of death were like demons in a half-asleep state. Even the slightest sound would wake them up. The broken ancient corpse giant, the huge demon beasts, the birds with white bones, they were worried that they would suddenly wake up. In such a tense atmosphere, ordinary people would have long been driven crazy. Their heartstrings were tense all the time, and ordinary people could not bear this kind of pressure. In addition to Chu Hen, Han Ichuan and Qiao Shaowan already showed a lot of impatience on their faces, especially the latter. In addition to impatience, there was also a kind of restlessness and anxiety. This restlessness and anxiety came from Qiao Shaowan. Although the psychological pressure was great, compared to the forest sacrifice jungle, the direct obstacles were much less. The three people moved forward a lot faster. As time passed, the rolling gloomy mountain and the hideous and terrifying evil ancient corpse were left behind. Presented in front of the three people was a beautiful scenery with a gentle breeze and beautiful sun. Surrounded by green mountains, beautiful green forests, and a clear lake sparkled. "We're out." Han Ichuan let out a long sigh of relief, raised his arms high, and instantly let go of all the tension and fatigue in his body and mind. Qiao Shaowan also looked relaxed, her eyes glowing, and the gloominess faded. "The Ganchi mountain range should be in front," Chu Hen said with a smile. Qiao Shaowan nodded solemnly, still looking forward to it. "Let's go. What are we waiting for?" After saying that, Qiao Shaowan took the lead and flew forward. The two people behind him smiled and immediately followed him. The warm sunlight shone on his body, and the breeze blew past, making him feel relaxed and happy. "The Ganchi mountain range is like a fairyland, and the ancestral butterfly clan is likely to live here," Han Ichuan said. Compared to the previous silent hill, the environment in front of him was completely different. It was like the difference between hell and heaven. Water, waterfalls, grass, trees, and streams, it was like a dreamy scenery. "Wait!" Suddenly, Chu Hen's figure stopped. "What's wrong?" The two people looked confused. Chu Hen narrowed his eyes and said in a deep voice, "Have we been here before?" The two people looked at each other, and then glanced around the surrounding environment. In front of them was a clear lake surrounded by green mountains. On both sides of the lake were green willows, and the bright sunlight shone on the water, making it look like scales. This lake? Han Ichuan immediately felt that the environment in front of him was a little familiar. "Did we just walk across this lake?" Qiao Shaowan asked with uncertainty. "I think it's just similar," Han Ichuan said. Chu Hen's face revealed a contemplative expression. After a slight hesitation, he nodded his head. "Perhaps?" Temporarily suppressing their doubts, the three people flew over the lake again, heading toward the area in front of them. The mountains were beautiful and the water was clear. After about half an hour, Han Ichuan relaxed and said with a smile, "I said it's just similar." "No problem, ha." Before he finished speaking, his laughter stopped. Another lake appeared in front of them. The surrounding environment was the same, and the same green willows. The only difference was the emotional changes of the three people. Chapter 11-18. "We're back again?" Han Ichuan said in a heavy voice. Looking at the familiar scene in front of her, Qiao Xiaowan's big bright eyes suddenly became gloomy. All the anticipation in her heart turned into anxiety on her face. "What's going on? Why are we going around in circles?" When they passed through Silent Hill, she had accumulated a lot of anxiety and irritation. Coupled with the emotional gap between hope and disappointment, it was very easy for her to collapse. The restlessness in her heart was like a chain reaction. An irrepressible power was brewing and surging in Qiao Xiaowan's body. Qiao Xiaowan's eyes glowed with red light, and her breath became much heavier. Chu Hen's brows furrowed slightly. He reached out his hand and gently patted the other party's shoulder. A gentle power flowed into his body like a clear spring, calming his agitated emotions. "Don't worry, let's try again." As soon as he finished speaking, Chu Hen raised his palm, and a sharp aura burst out from his fingertip. The aura expanded rapidly and instantly turned into a solid and bright sword. Boom! With a loud crack, the sword fell down and landed solidly on the cliff below. In an instant, a sword mark that was 100 meters diagonally appeared on the side of the cliff. "Let's make a mark here first," Chu Hen said. Han Ichuan echoed. "That's right. Let's try again and see if we're going around in circles." Qiao Shaowan nodded silently. Then, they flew over the lake 3 times, passed through the green mountains and forests, and headed southwest. The three of them were silent, and the atmosphere was obviously much heavier. They were not in the mood to appreciate the beautiful scenery along the way. In less than half an hour, a familiar scenery quietly appeared in their sight. Qiao Shaowan and Han Ichuan looked at the mountain below them immediately. On the side of the mountain, there was a clear sword mark that was 100 meters long, faintly emitting a sharp aura that had not completely faded. They were instantly confirmed. At this moment, their hearts sank to the bottom. He's back. Han Izai frowned. I know. As expected, the corners of Chu Hen's mouth curled into an undetectable sneer. The reason why I did that earlier was to find that fellow's hiding place. What? The two of them were startled. Before they could react, they saw Chu Hen streak through the sky like a shooting star, and he arrived in the sky above the lake at his fastest speed. Let's hide here. Chi. A powerful and ferocious aura erupted from Chu Hen's body. His eyes narrowed, and lightning flashed in his eyes. His aura shook the heavens. Chu Hen raised his arms, and thousands of lightning bolts burst out from his body. Thousand thunder escape. Boom! The earth trembled and space seemed to be on the verge of splitting. Along with the violent roars of the Great Dipper Force, the lake below immediately stirred up thousands of layers of huge waves, and huge pillars of lightning soared into the sky, across the sky, intertwining with each other. It was like a lightning dragon or a giant python that soared into the sky. The entire lake was instantly enveloped by the thunder tribulation. Terrifying electric shocks intertwined in the water, covering every corner. In the next second, a fierce torrent suddenly burst out from the bottom of the water in the center of the lake. Bang! Han Ichuan and Qiao Shaowan's expressions changed, and they were still shocked. The menacing black shadow rushed over. Chu Hen's eyes darkened, and he struck out with his left palm. 7 stars floated in his palm, bursting out dazzling holy light. Boom! The ferocious palm energy exploded like a star, radiating light in all directions. The flowing light wave attack hit the black shadow firmly. A surging flame surged in all directions in the void, and a large area of the water below caved in, and heavy waves of water rushed to the green mountains on both sides of the river. The black shadow and Chu Hen retreated separately. When the three of them looked carefully, they could not help but show a bit of coldness. They saw that the black shadow that flew out was actually a large stone coffin. The stone coffin was three-dimensional square, more than 30 meters long, and about 10 meters wide. Dense black fog shrouded the stone coffin, and the stone coffin was engraved with many complicated runes and secret scrolls, shining with a demonic dark luster. Whoosh! The sound of rocks rubbing against each other spread out. In an instant, a chilly wind blew, and ghosts cried and wolves howled. The clear sky suddenly became covered with dark clouds. Under Chu Hen's cautious gaze, the stone coffin slowly opened, and along with the opening gap, an incomparably dense and monstrous death energy poured out like a wind pillar. Then, a pair of sharp palms rested on both sides of the stone coffin. A dense gray death energy spread out, and immediately, a huge ancient corpse directly climbed out of the stone coffin. What is this thing? Han Ichuan's face turned pale, and his eyes surged with a strong sense of horror. This ancient corpse had a dark green face, slender limbs, sharp claws, and disheveled hair. It was completely like an evil spirit that walked out from hell. However, besides being shocked, Qiao Shaowan, who was at the side, was more irritated. It's you stinking thing, who did this? Qiao Shaowan's eyes were surging with anger. Without saying a word, she flew into a rage and directly rushed toward the ancient corpse. I want to tear apart this rotten thing of yours. The accumulated restlessness and anxiety were released uncontrollably. Qiao Shaowan's body was surrounded by a golden light, and her 2 fists seemed to be bathed in divine fire. The ancient corpse's eyes emitted a crimson-red light, and directly swept out a palm, slapping towards Qiao Shaowan with an overbearing momentum. Bang! Waves of air splashed, true essence exploded, and a chaotic cyclone swept out. Qiao Shaowan was instantly sent flying. At the same time, Qiao Shaowan's anger continued to burn. A layer of dazzling dark golden light overflowed from her body, as if it was dyed with light, covering every inch of her skin. The violent aura that originated from the demonic beast surged out violently. The restless aura was like a deep-sea undercurrent that was about to break through the dam. Not good. Han Ichuan was shocked. Chu Hen's face also darkened, and immediately flashed to Qiao Xiaowan's side at the fastest speed. He pressed both of his hands on her shoulders, and then a strange purple light burst out from his eyes. Hold on. Buzz. The strange purple eyes emitted a violent vibration, and the unshakable power directly suppressed the violent aura on Qiao Xiaowan's body. The dark golden light on the latter's body quickly dimmed, and her eyes were lifeless. Her face was pale, and she was obviously much weaker. Heh! At the same time, the ancient corpse let out a strange, ear-piercing howl. Crack! The sound of bones moving in flesh and blood was chilling. Then, sharp sickle teeth tore out of the ancient corpse's chest and back. It was like the sickle of a praying mantis. It was as fast as a shadow, and as sharp as a blade. It tore through the air, turned into a giant blade, and slashed horizontally at Chu Hen and Qiao Xiaowan. Hearing the sound of the wind behind them, Chu Hen's eyes narrowed, and he held on to Qiao Xiaowan's shoulder and flashed away. The giant sickle whistled like the wind, and it almost brushed past Chu Hen's back. Han Ichuan secretly heaved a sigh of relief, but before he could relax, his face suddenly turned pale, and a chill ran down his spine. Chu Hen! He quickly shouted. Chu Hen's handsome brows furrowed slightly, and he looked sideways. He saw that in the area behind them, waves of death aura were surging, and waves of chaotic, chilly aura were awakening. A steady stream of monsters were awakened, and they were rushing over. Without any hesitation, Chu Hen threw Qiao Xiaowan to Han Ichuan. You go first. Han Ichuan leaped up and caught Qiao Xiaowan in his arms. Be careful, we will wait for you at the border of Kunchi mountain range. Okay. Chu Hen nodded. He, the ancient corpse let out a sharp howl, and the sickle claws that grew out of its body spread out, like a huge spider web, and attacked the three people in a wide range. Humph! Chu Hen snorted coldly, and released the power of the 7 stars. Holy light bloomed, and 7 giant iron chains swayed with silver brilliance flew out from behind him. The 7 iron chains were dazzling like a pair of gorgeous wings. The iron chains quickly wrapped around the sickle claws, and firmly entangled them. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Han Ichuan sped up and went around Chu Hen's back. He crossed the lake at the fastest speed, and fled in the direction of Kunchi mountain range. Bang! Bang! The ancient corpse broke one of the star chains, and the cold and sharp sickle claws, like a sharp blade, once again chased after Han Ichuan and Qiao Xiaowan. Chu Hen's pupils shrank, and he raised his palm, and thunder patterns intertwined in his palm. Crack! A beam of blue lightning, like an aurora, shot out, traversed the vast sky, and chased up. Bang! The moment before the cold sickle was about to fall on Han Ichuan, it was pierced by a beam of bright lightning, and the huge sickle was firmly nailed in the void like a long nail. Han Ichuan only felt a chill on his back. He didn't care so much, and hurriedly left with Qiao Xiaowan. At the same time, the ancient corpse was like an enraged demon. The monstrous death aura was like rolling dark clouds. Chapter 11:19. Hee. The silent ridge was no longer silent. Waves of dense death chi were like the black clouds that dyed the sky. They whistled through the sky and attacked. On the ground of the mountain below, the earth and rocks cracked open. Monsters emitting the smell of decay woke up one after another. They crawled out of the ground like bamboo shoots after the rain. Bang, bang, bang! At the same time, the large ancient corpse in front of Chu Hen directly broke the remaining 6 star chains. Like an enraged demon, it let out a mournful shriek. One after another, sickle-like claws grew out of its body and wildly slashed at Chu Hen. Chu Hen's pupils turned cold. He continuously flashed through the air, leaving a trail of afterimages. His agile figure was like a butterfly flying through flowers, dodging the dense attacks of the ancient corpse. At the same time, the monsters and corpses that crawled out of the ground leaped up one after another. They leaped into the sky in groups like a pack of hungry wolves and pounced on their target. Chu Hen's face sank. Purple flames ignited in his pupils. The powerful bloodline power instantly burst out. A purple flame vortex appeared out of nowhere in the air. Then, like a nebula tornado, it stirred the sky. Evil flame, storm, rumble, wreaking havoc on the heaven and earth, the purple firestorm with the power to engulf the mountains and rivers, with Chu Hen as the center, completely exploded in all directions. It swept through everything in its path, and all the monsters and rotten corpses that pounced over were instantly turned into balls of fire, being burnt until nothing was left. However, there were still a few powerful monsters that broke through the barrier formed by the evil flame. Their bodies were bathed in flames as they pounced on Chu Hen. Chu Hen flew and dodged them. However, the ancient corpse in the lake was even more difficult to deal with. It waved its sickle like a giant blade in the air, splitting the layers of evil flame. It rushed to the front of Chu Hen and smashed its fist down, unable to dodge. The true essence in Chu Hen's body surged. Violent thunder patterns and electric lights interweaved around his arms. Boom! A heavy explosion shook the sky as the two ferocious energies collided like meteors, and they emanated a myriad of sparks and a rain of flames. At the same time, the sharp scythe was like a pair of iron pincers, piercing through from both sides. Chu Hen somersaulted and dodged round after round of fierce attacks. He was unruffled and extremely calm. Looking at the horde of monsters behind him, Chu Hen narrowed his eyes and muttered, "Looks like I have to end the battle immediately." The current situation was indeed not suitable for a protracted battle. Once they were surrounded by the army of monsters, it would be very troublesome. Jie, the ancient corpse in the lake, attacked again. More than a dozen sickle-like claws danced in the air like bloody blades. Its dark green face revealed a sinister expression. A playful smile appeared on the corner of Chu Hen's mouth. Instead of retreating, he moved forward. It was as if he had turned into a beam of silver light and rushed toward the ancient corpse in the lake. The latter's crimson eyes shone with blood-red light, and the sickle claws that grew out of his chest thrust forward in unison. The death light was dazzling, and the gray light circulated. The sound of the airflow became extremely rapid and sharp. Facing the dozens of sickles that were rushing toward him, Chu Hen's eyes released a strong restlessness of power. Both of his hands held a ball of dense purple light. While moving, Chu Hen's two palms suddenly came together in front of him. Punishment shield. A layer of purple light screen flashing with the pattern of a demonic eye condensed in front of Chu Hen's palms. Boom! A violent explosion shook the sky. The combined sickles hit the purple light shield in front of Chu Hen like a heavy halberd. Layers of air waves surged out. The light shield swayed and ripples flashed. Its defense was as strong as an iron wall. Without the slightest pause, Chu Hen turned over and flew to the sky. Taking advantage of the short moment when the opponent's attack had ended, he immediately flashed in front of the ancient corpse in the lake. Both sides looked at each other at close range. A frivolous smile appeared on Chu Hen's face. "Goodbye, never again." Whoosh! With a flip of his hand, a dignified sharpness caused a tremor in the air. A cold spear suddenly appeared in Chu Hen's hand. The spear was more than 2 meters long, and the middle section was connected by a dragon's spine. When the spear was in his hand, it suddenly bloomed with a series of violent electric arcs. The wantonly intertwining electric arcs covered the spear's blade, like a silver python flicking its tongue, carrying out the power of destruction. Straight down, Chu Hen sent out the draining spirit spear with both hands. The cold spear tip tore through the air, directly piercing the glabella of the ancient corpse in the lake. This spear's momentum was like a startling dragon. It showed the power of heaven punishment. Boom! The ruthless spear blade hit the center of the ancient corpse's forehead. But in the next moment, Chu Hen suddenly felt his arms tremble, and a fierce counterforce was transmitted along the spear body. Chu Hen's palms went numb, and the draining spirit spear was actually shaken back. What? Chu Hen was secretly shocked. What was going on? The draining spirit spear actually couldn't penetrate the corpse's head. At a glance, there was indeed a hole on the ancient corpse's forehead. In other words, the spear just now had pierced through its skin. Without waiting for Chu Hen to come back to his senses, the ancient corpse's eyes opened wide, bloodshot, and then it opened its mouth, like a man-eating flower that was split into several petals. In the crack, rows of sawtooth-like fangs could be seen, which made people shudder. Chu Hen frowned, and just as he was about to retreat, a pair of iron-like giant hands firmly pressed down on his shoulder. At the same time, a pair of iron pincers, blades, and sickles quickly closed, and firmly stuck him in the air. The ancient corpse's giant mouth, that was split into several petals, stretched out in front of Chu Hen, and directly bit towards the other's upper body. A shadow quickly shrouded the top of Chu Hen's head, and his pupils tightly shrunk to the size of a needle tip. A fishy smell rushed over, and the aura of death filled the air. Boom! Blood rained down, and minced meat splattered everywhere. A long and mournful howl resounded in the vast, silent ridge. A black shadow without any warning pierced through the throat of the ancient corpse in the lake, and the latter's neck suddenly burst into pieces. The ancient corpse's ferocious giant mouth was about to bite Chu Hen, and its body was directly split into two. It was as violent as lightning, and as fast as a gust of wind. The ferocious giant head immediately flew out, but the huge corpse was still tightly entangled with Chu Hen, and it fell down. Chi-chi! A berserk aura was released, and countless lightning beams suddenly burst forth. Boom! A heaven-shattering heavy shock swept through the mountains and rivers below, and the terrifying thunder tribulations all converged together. The fiery rain danced, and the lightning wreaked havoc. The huge headless corpse of the ancient corpse directly exploded into thousands of pieces. The chaotic airflow swept across the entire area. The black shadow that had pierced through the ancient corpse returned to Chu Hen's back in an overlapping form, like a layer of phantom covering his back. Chu Hen lifted his eyelids, and his eyes swept over the ancient corpse's ferocious head. The man-eating flower-like giant mouth was still twisting, and it issued a deep and low scream. Chu Hen raised one hand and shio. A piercingly cold light beam slanted across the sky, and accurately hit the head. Bang! Flowers bloomed everywhere, and airwaves flew everywhere. Then, a black object flew out from the exploded head. Chu Hen's eyes slightly brightened, and he reached out his palm to absorb that mysterious object. Chapter 11:20. Waves of air filled the sky, and debris flew everywhere. Chu Hen's eyes turned cold as he looked at the mysterious object that was sucked into his palm. Just now, it was this thing that bounced the draining spirit spear back. The spear that should have ended the ancient corpse in the lake did not penetrate its head. It must be this thing that blocked the fatal blow. A slightly scorching sensation was transmitted from his palm. It was a hemispherical object with a diameter of no more than 20 centimeters. It didn't look like a stone, and it didn't look like a metal. It wasn't particularly heavy, and it was even a little light. It was this thing that could withstand the fierce blow of the draining spirit spear, and even bounced back. Rumble! Not waiting for Chu Hen to do more research, the torrential deathly aura that blotted out the sky and covered the earth came assaulting over. Monsters that exuded a strong aura of decay rushed forward. Woo! The wind roared, and the aura was vast. A giant headless corpse dragged a giant heavy sword with both hands and leaped hundreds of meters. It set off a fierce wind and slashed at Chu Hen. Chu Hen frowned and quickly put the mysterious object in his hand into his storage ring. Then, he pushed out his palm to meet the attack and quickly retreated. Boom! The powerful palm approached like a mountain, firmly hitting the headless corpse. The latter was shaken and fell to the ground, heavily smashing into the mountain wall below, splashing thousands of gravel. The rest of the monsters and corpses were like a pack of tigers and wolves, quickly occupying the mountain ridges. In the sky they came one after another, chasing at high speed. Chu Hen's eyes were calm, and he did not care about the terrifying power that was like a wildfire behind him. He only cared about fleeing in the southwest direction. As long as he left the quiet ridge, these monsters would not chase after him. The mighty gray death energy surged like a prairie fire, and the ferocious evil monsters seemed to be cursed, alternating between sleeping and killing. Soon, a cloud of golden mist rose in the sky in front of them. Chu Hen clearly felt that the dark death energy in the area in front of him had decreased a lot. The area shrouded by the golden clouds was like the boundary between two different worlds. The level of the airflow in the air was also different. It seems that we're about to leave Silent Hill. A hint of joy appeared in Chu Hen's eyes. At the same time, the ancient corpses behind them gradually slowed down. Many of them even stopped their pursuit. As if it had smelled the scent of the sun, the decay came to a halt. They were finally gone. Chu Hen heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he turned into an illusory shadow and flashed into the golden clouds. Swish! But it was also at this moment that an extremely sharp sound of wind breaking came from behind without any warning. Chu Hen was shocked in his heart as he swiftly turned around, and his deep eyes instantly reflected a sharp arrow. The arrow was incomparably swift and fierce, and its entire body flowed with layers of gray-colored light that seemed like ripples, and a string of dazzling talisman markings and secret talismans flickered on the body of the arrow. The murderous aura pierced straight into their bones. This aura, Chu Hen's pupils narrowed to the size of a needle tip. A majestic wave of air was dragged out in the air as the sky-piercing divine arrow directly arrived in front of Chu Hen like a meteor that could trace back 1,000 years of time. At this critical moment, Chu Hen instantly summoned the blue Ran sword and held it diagonally in front of his chest. Bang! The arrow that was like a divine light accurately hit the sword. In an instant, a rain of sparks and fire splashed, and a gray and green cyclonic halo surged and bloomed. A violent and fierce impact poured down and poured into Chu Hen's body through the blue Ran sword. Bang! Along with a heavy muffled sound, Chu Hen was blasted away by this force. The rapid whistling wind flowed beside his ears. Chu Hen unconsciously felt his blood churning and his arm going numb. It was as if he was a rock flying through layers and layers of golden clouds. Then, with a loud rumble, Chu Hen could only see stars in front of his eyes. He heavily collided with a mountain slope, causing rocks to burst apart and mud to fly everywhere. After a long while, Chu Hen slowly narrowed his eyes. The bright sunlight shone on his face, and he subconsciously raised his hand to block it. His gaze swept across his surroundings. The wind was gentle and the sun was bright. The scenery was like spring. Under the valley where hundreds of flowers bloomed, bees flew and butterflies danced. It could be said to be picturesque. "Who are you?" Suddenly, a voice filled with warning suddenly entered his ears. Chu Hen was startled, and he suddenly climbed out of the pile of rocks. His gaze quickly swept forward, and 3 tall and slender figures immediately entered his eyes. The clothes on these 3 people were very bright, and they gave off a special aura. The aura they emitted was like that of a spirit that was isolated from the world. Each of the 3 people held a dazzling golden spear in their hands, and the person in the middle also had a scabbarded sword hanging from his waist. The most peculiar thing was that the person in the middle had a pair of wings growing on his back. The wings were as white as snow, holy, and full of spiritual energy, like the wings of a butterfly. Chu Hen's handsome eyebrows raised, and he blurted out in surprise, "Ancestral butterfly?" The 3 people looked at Chu Hen with a slightly surprised expression, and then their expressions changed to one of vigilance. "Who the hell are you? What is your purpose in coming to the Ganchi Mountains?" The young man on the left pointed his weapon at Chu Hen and asked. Boom! At this moment, another violent tremor came from another direction. Violent waves of air swept out wantonly, breaking the mountain ridges, sweeping through the jungle, and faintly mixed in the chaos. Han Ichuan Chu Hen's expression changed slightly, and without saying a word, he directly turned into a shadow and flew away. Stop! The three people behind him shouted sternly. But in the blink of an eye, Chu Hen was already several kilometers away. Without any hesitation, the three people immediately chased after him. Rumble! Large pieces of rubble continued to collapse, and Chu Hen hurriedly arrived in front of a mountain that had been destroyed by brute force. A violent and ferocious aura swept in all directions, and a giant beast that was hundreds of meters tall wantonly attacked the mountain in front of it. The giant beast's body was covered with a heavy carapace, and its limbs were like iron, and its giant claws were like pincers. It looked like an ant. In the range of its attack, a figure in a sorry state was jumping up and down, fleeing in panic. "Crazy girl, calm down! If this goes on, I will be killed by you!" Han Ichuan shouted loudly as he dodged. When he saw Chu Hen rushing over, he immediately felt as if he had seen his savior. "Chu Hen, you are finally here. Hurry up, this girl is going crazy again." Chu Hen frowned slightly. This scene had happened in the Immortal and Devil Tomb before, but compared to that time, the aura that erupted from Qiao Shaowan now was even more shocking and chaotic. The giant body continuously caused all kinds of destruction. Waves of violent aura surged out of her body, and countless strange patterns appeared on her body. These patterns cracked one by one, like a dry riverbed, or a cracked stone egg. Rays of dazzling golden light were released from the cracks, like the dawn breaking through the clouds. At the same time, the three people who were chasing after Chu Hen also arrived. When they saw the scene in front of them, their expressions suddenly changed. "It's the same race!" The young man who pointed the gun at Chu Hen suddenly shouted. "Oh no, she is going to molt!" Another person said. Chapter 11:21. "She's from the same clan." "Oh no, she's going to molt. No, she'll die if she molts here. Stop her immediately." The three young men who were chasing after Chu Hen had a drastic change of expression. When they saw Qiao Shaowan losing control, they immediately ignored Chu Hen, who was not far away. "Hurry!" The young man in the middle with a pair of white butterfly wings shouted. Then, he raised his hand and waved, giving an order to the two people behind him. The two people beside him did not delay at all. They turned into a beam of light and rushed forward. Qiao Shaowan, who had transformed into a giant worm, let out an ear-piercing shriek. Her huge claws, which were like iron pincers, wantonly swept about. The mountain ridges broke, and the earth split open. Huge craters exploded on the ground one after another. The fierce and chaotic impact caused Han Ichuan to be knocked around. "Stop, my fellow clansmen!" a young man shouted. Then, the spear in his hand emitted a dazzling holy light. He pointed the spear's tip downwards. Hum! The space trembled slightly. A solid light beam instantly burst out from the spear's tip and attacked the position behind Qiao Shaowan. The dazzling light beam was like a divine pen. The man dragged the spear in his hand, and the light beam below moved along with it. It surrounded Qiao Shaowan and quickly drew a huge circle like a powerful seal. The circle shone brilliantly, and a thick barrier surrounded Qiao Shaowan. Then, another person also erupted with a powerful aura. He put his palms together and formed a seal with his fingers. Then, he shouted in a deep voice, "Seal!" Rumble! In an instant, stone pillars rushed out from the inside of the golden circle. The stone pillars intertwined with each other like thorns that broke through the earth. Like claws, they firmly trapped the giant worm's huge body. Not far away, Han Ichuan was shocked. He shouted sternly, "Who are you?" Then, he stepped forward to stop them. Chu Hen flew in front of him and stopped him in a low voice. "It should be Qiao Shaowan's clansmen. Don't move, clansmen?" Han Ichuan clenched his fists and his eyes lit up. "You found the ancestral butterfly clan?" Chu Hen took a deep breath and frowned. "Let's talk about it later." The tightly arranged earth spikes were like hooks and sickles that trapped Qiao Shaowan from both sides. The golden barrier completely sealed off the opponent's escape route. At the same time, the young man with a pair of white butterfly wings suddenly flew above Qiao Shaowan. A pure and holy spiritual energy burst out from his body, and the cold spear in his hand shone brilliantly. He was like a wizard spirit standing in the sky, and the clouds in the sky covered the sky. Bursts of dazzling divine light were like the sun. Go! The young man pointed his spear downwards. Buzz buzz! A violent spatial rhythm swept through the sky. Above the giant insect, a luxurious talisman array quietly appeared. The talisman array swayed with a dense spiritual light, and gradually enveloped Qiao Shaowan below. Beams of gentle light flowed out of the talisman array and wrapped around the giant insect's body and claws. The pressure was like a mountain. Seeing this scene, the doubts in Chu Hen's heart secretly disappeared. These three people did not attack Qiao Shaowan head-on. Instead, they suppressed her from the side. They did not want to hurt her. It seemed that they were from the ancestral butterfly clan. Woo! At this moment, the giant insect, whose aura was constantly being crushed, suddenly rebounded. The cracks that opened up on its body spewed out powerful beams of bright light. An incomparably fierce force rose up like an uncontrollable flood. Boom! The talisman array that enveloped the insect was instantly smashed. The stone spikes on both sides of its body also broke layer by layer. What? How is this possible? The expressions of the three ancestral butterfly clans changed greatly. She has not yet molted. How can her strength be so strong? Qiao Shaowan, who had turned into a monster, was no longer under her control. Before the three of them could react, she raised her terrifying head and directly spewed out layers of red light waves, like ripples on the surface of water. The red light waves surged out and rapidly swept out. Bang! The last layer of the golden circle barrier that trapped her exploded into thousands of pieces. Fierce and powerful light waves surged out and hit the three young men one after another. The three of them were all sent flying. Other than the young man with the white butterfly wings who could still withstand it, the other two each spat out a mouthful of blood. Big Brother E immediately informed the elders. A young man covered his chest and hurriedly shouted to the young man with the white butterfly wings. The latter had a deep expression as he shook his head and rejected. There is not enough time. We can only bring her back. No, she is too strong. The three of us cannot subdue her. Just as he finished speaking, the sound of thunder suddenly rang out in the air. Rumble! The ground split open and rocks fell everywhere. Streaks of peerless and violent lightning bolts shot out from the ground. The space trembled, and terrifying lightning pillars crisscrossed around Qiao Shaowan, firmly trapping her in the middle. Chu Hen shot out like a stream of light and quickly appeared in front of the other party. Jia! The huge beast let out a sharp roar and roared angrily at Chu Hen. Ta! Chu Hen placed his right hand on the back of his left hand, following which, his left palm faced down and one hand stuck to the ground. Crack! In an instant, a dense blue electric current spread out like a huge spider web and rapidly whistled towards Qiao Shaowan. That is? The three people from the ancestral butterfly clan were stunned. Chi. Lightning intertwined and instantly wrapped around Qiao Shaowan's entire body. The other party's huge body was immediately covered in fierce arcs of electricity. The wantonly arcs of light circled around him like silver snakes, and endless electric currents filled every inch of his body. Woo! Accompanied by a long, ear-piercing howl, the huge beast could no longer struggle. It twisted its body, and the aura it exuded was withdrawn at a speed visible to the naked eye. Under the astonished gazes of the three people from the ancestral butterfly clan, the huge beast's body released a dazzling golden light. Then, its body gradually shrank. In the short span of 5 seconds, its originally 300 zhang body became light and nimble, and the outline of its human form reappeared. Chu Hen immediately withdrew the power of the Xian Xia divine lightning. Then, he leaped up and caught Qiao Shaowan, who had returned to human form. In his hand Han Ichuan was the first to run over. "How is it? You didn't hurt her, did you?" Chu Hen shook his head and looked at Xiao Shaowan in his hand. Her aura was as weak as a candle in the wind. It was on the verge of collapse and could be extinguished at any time. Her pale face was almost devoid of blood. She curled up in the crook of Chu Hen's arm like a ball of paper, trembling uneasily. Her body seemed to be bathed in a layer of gentle golden light. The light flickered, and her aura fluctuated back and forth. The three people from the ancestral butterfly clan also hurriedly ran to Chu Hen. "It's almost too late. Give her to me," the young man with wings behind him said anxiously. He looked very anxious, but his attitude was much better than before. Chu Hen nodded his head, and hurriedly passed Xiao Shaowan into the young man's arms. The young man carried Xiao Shaowan, and with a flap of the butterfly wings behind him, he instantly leapt into the sky, and flew towards the depths of the Ganshi mountain range. Chapter 11:22. The Ganshi mountain range was beautiful and picturesque. The rivers were like the Milky Way, the mountains were like giant dragons, and the four seasons were like spring. Flowers bloomed all over the mountain ridges, creating a beautiful scenery. However, Chu Hen and Han Ichuan, who had just arrived here, were not in the mood to appreciate the magnificent scenery. The two of them followed closely behind the three ancestral butterflies and sped toward the depths of the Ganshi mountain range. "It's not easy to get here. Don't let anything happen to you, crazy girl." Han Ichuan's expression was tense, and his eyebrows were full of anxiety and worry. The three ancestral butterflies also frowned, and they only focused on hurrying on their journey. Xiao Shaowan curled up into a ball, and her body was constantly emitting a soft light. Her aura was getting weaker and weaker, which made people more and more worried. Although Chu Hen was full of doubts, and he did not know where they were taking Xiao Shaowan, he could only follow behind silently, swish, swish, swish. The five of them did not stop and moved forward at full speed. Then, a magnificent gorge appeared in front of them. The gorge was especially steep, and the peaks on the east and west sides went straight into the clouds. A huge waterfall poured down for thousands of miles, like the Milky Way falling from the sky, and hit the depths of the pool, causing thousands of huge waves. Just when Chu Hen and Han Ichuan thought they were going to take a detour, the three people in front of them did not have any intention of changing their route. Instead, they rushed straight toward the waterfall in front of them. "You guys," Han Ichuan was about to ask. Then, a strange energy fluctuation appeared in the air, and an illusory sky curtain suddenly appeared a few meters in front of the waterfall, as if passing through a calm water surface. A layer of subtle ripples appeared in the air. They passed through the illusory sky curtain and instantly disappeared in front of the two of them. "This is?" Han Ichuan was stunned. Chu Hen's eyes narrowed, and he was secretly amazed. What a realistic illusion array! Immediately, the two of them flew toward the waterfall in front of them. The moment they passed through the waterfall, a strange ripple appeared, and the next moment, a vast world appeared in front of them. Flowers were blooming everywhere in the vast valley. It was a beautiful day, and bees and butterflies were everywhere. The paradise-like environment was like a fairyland on earth. Big Brother E is back. A valley surrounded by hundreds of flowers exuded a refined aura that was isolated from the rest of the world. Many exquisite wooden houses were built on the lush, towering trees. Some of the huts were even fused with the trees. A wooden vine swing hung from a sturdy tree trunk. A few lively children were sitting on it, swaying back and forth, occasionally letting out silver bell-like laughter. "Big Brother E, why are you guys back so early? Doesn't every patrol take a few days?" A few guards clad in rattan armor with weapons hanging on their shoulders walked over. The young man who was called Big Brother E did not stop moving. He flew into the valley and shouted to the rattan-armored guard, "Immediately inform the clan elders, someone from the same clan is about to shed his butterfly." "What?" Everyone's expressions changed drastically, and an uproar arose in the valley below. "Tu Dai, who is it? What are you waiting for? I'll head to the butterfly transformation pool now. Inform the elders to meet me there." Yes, I'll go now." The rattan-armored guard didn't even have time to calm down as he hurriedly turned around and ran towards the other direction of the valley. Chu-hen, Han Ichuan, and the other two Zhu Dai were still following closely behind the young man who was carrying Qiao Shaowan. Along the way there was a beautiful scenery. There were beautiful gardens everywhere. Other than the strange wooden huts, there were also majestic lofts and buildings, a plaza, and a Dao platform. In a hurry, an ancient Dao platform appeared in the vision of Chu-hen and the rest. The Dao platform stood in the middle of two mountain peaks, and a long flight of stairs went down the Dao platform. Looking from afar, the Dao platform had more than 10 imposing stone pillars that supported the sky. On the stone pillars, there were many complicated runes and talismans carved on them. In the center of the Dao platform floated a semicircular golden light screen. The light screen was like a huge semicircular bubble, covering a square pool that was more than 1,000 meters wide. The interior of the pool was surging with a dense spiritual fog. Even though he was far away, Chu-hen was still able to sense the intense energy ripples within the pool. The butterfly transformation pool is a restricted area. No one is allowed to trespass. Two figures with fierce auras appeared in front of the Dao platform, exuding a powerful aura that was as sharp as a blade. "It's me. Squad 9's captain, Yi-Lian." Yi-Lian panted as he hurriedly said, There's a member of the same race, about to transform into a butterfly. Please let us in quickly." "What?" Like the rattan-armored guard from before, the two were extremely shocked. When they saw Yi-Lian carrying Qiao Shaowan, they immediately opened up a path. Yi-Lian nodded gratefully and quickly flew towards the center of the Dao platform. Chu-hen and Han Ichuan hurriedly followed. "Human." Following that, one of the butterfly transformation pool guards shouted sternly and stared coldly at Chu-hen and Han Ichuan. "We're with her," Han Ichuan explained. The two guards' gazes darkened, and their eyes were filled with confusion. "They're the ones who brought her." A young man behind Yi-Lian turned around and said, "Yes." Han Ichuan immediately nodded in agreement. "We're her friends, please let us in." The two of them looked at each other, and their expressions eased up quite a bit. One of them said, "The two of you are only allowed to wait below and are not allowed to step onto the Dao platform. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences." With that, the two of them let them in. Chu-hen and Han Ichuan hurriedly walked up the steps and stepped onto the periphery of the Dao platform. Whoosh! At the same time, the higher-ups of the clan who had been notified also arrived at top speed. A dozen or so imposing figures appeared in the air above the butterfly transformation pool, surrounded by billowing flames. The leader's eyebrows were all white, and his aura was thick and dense. He had butterfly wings on his back different from Yi-Lian. This elder had 2 pairs of butterfly wings, a total of 4 on each side. Moreover, they were all different colors of gold. Second elder. Yi-Lian yelled anxiously. The elder landed beside him in a flash, and his expression changed when he saw Qiao Shaowan's weak aura. "What took you so long?" "Second elder, she's a fellow clansman who was lost outside, and only returned today." The elder frowned and said with a serious expression, "Of all times, what's wrong?" "Second elder, why is it only you? Where are the other elders?" "I don't have time to explain." Second elder turned around and dashed toward the center of the Dao platform. Then, he formed a series of hand seals with both hands, and instantly changed a dozen hand seals. When the last hand seal was completed, a majestic aura as vast as the sea gushed out from his body. Along with a thick layer of golden aura that spread out, the entire ground of the Dao platform suddenly lit up with a dazzling and luxurious array pattern. As if an ancient restriction had been activated, densely packed light patterns spread out in all directions. Buzz buzz, in an instant, the stone pillars standing on the Tao platform vibrated slightly, and the runes on the pillars shone dazzlingly. The ancestral butterflies present were all startled by Second Elder's actions. Second Elder, you can't! Opening the butterfly transformation pool requires at least 3 elders to work together. You alone won't be enough. The others hurriedly tried to dissuade him. However, Second Elder had no intention of stopping, and an endless stream of energy poured out of his body. There's no time, this is the only way. Where are the other elders? Hurry and invite them, Ilian said to the clan's higher-ups nearby. They shook their heads in exasperation. First Elder, Third Elder, and Fourth Elder have gone to the Devil region. Fifth Elder is in seclusion. Even if we go and wake him up now, it'll be too late, a middle-aged man said in a deep voice. The Devil region? Why did they suddenly go there? Chapter 11:23. Great Elder, Third Elder, and Fourth Elder have gone to the Demon region. Fifth Elder and Sixth Elder are in seclusion. It's too late to wake them up now, Demon region? Why did they go there all of a sudden? It's said that a few demon lords from the Demon region have brought back the Demon Emperor's skeleton from the tomb of immortals and demons. After the 3 elders received the news, they went to the Demon region to meet them. The speaker did not mean anything, but the listener did. When the words Tomb of Immortals and Demons and Demon Emperor's Skeleton were mentioned, Chu Hen and Han Ichuan instinctively looked at each other. It had been more than a month since they left the Tomb of Immortals and Demons. It was still unclear how Mu Feng and Haozi were doing. It was also unknown whether Jun Jianga, the Fox of Green Hill, could fulfill his promise to Chu Hen. However, the current situation was not the time to care about this. After a brief distraction, everyone's eyes fell on Qiao Shaowan and Second Elder. Damn it! Ilian cursed in a low voice. Why did it have to happen at this time? The middle-aged man looked at Qiao Shaowan, whose aura was becoming increasingly faint, and shook his head helplessly. It's too urgent. We should have returned when the butterfly transformation first appeared. That way we would have had enough time to prepare. Ilian frowned and glanced at Chu Hen and Han Ichuan behind him. Chu Hen was also unaware of this. When Qiao Shaowan changed her body in the Tomb of Immortals and Demons, they did not even know what race she was. If Jun Jianga had not revealed Qiao Shaowan's identity, they would still be searching for her in vain. They might not even be able to reach the Kunchi Mountains. Buzz buzz. The huge platform began to tremble strangely. In the center of the platform, beside the butterfly transformation pool, Second Elder's expression was tense. The power in his body was circulating rapidly, and the talisman arrays on the platform were flowing with bright splendor. Mysterious talismans kept flashing on the stone pillars around the platform. It was as if an ancient restriction had been activated. Light patterns flickered and circled up to the top, reaching a strange butterfly pattern. Hua! Then, the butterfly pattern on the first stone pillar lit up. Along with a wave of beautiful spirit inscriptions, a buzzing sound echoed, and a solidified white beam of light shot out from the top of the stone pillar. It hit the top of the semicircular shield outside the butterfly transformation pond. In an instant, the giant light barrier with a diameter of over 1,000 meters vibrated. It was like a bubble under the sun, slowly flowing and flickering with a gorgeous, soft light. Buzz buzz buzz. Following that, a series of heavy rhythmic vibrations stacked on top of each other, and the butterfly patterns on the stone pillars lit up one after another. Powerful beams of light flew out and gathered at the top of the light barrier in the center. The magnificent scene was like a host of stars surrounding the moon, and a vast and mighty aura swept through the entire area and covered the heavens and the earth. Everyone at the edge of the platform was shocked. As expected of the Second Elder, he can actually control the entire formation by himself. There's hope. Just when a few people were pleasantly surprised, the middle-aged man who was talking to Ilian earlier shook his head helplessly. It's useless. The Second Elder can only bear the energy output of 2 people at most. He can't open the butterfly transformation pond at all." His words immediately splashed a bucket of cold water on everyone. When the 8th beam of light lit up, the second elder's aura seemed to have reached its peak, and he could no longer go any higher. Moreover, 1/3 of the remaining stone pillars were still in a dim state. The 8 beams of light were like 8 stars, shining with holy light toward the bright moon in the middle. The light barrier that enveloped the butterfly transformation pond had obviously become much thinner. It looked as fragile as a thin piece of paper, and the spirit pool inside was clearly visible. Upon seeing this, the middle-aged man's eyelids suddenly twitched as if he had suddenly come to a realization. Could it be? Before he could finish his words, the second elder in front of him shouted loudly, "Concentrate on one point and break the restriction by force." Everyone's heart was also shocked. It was like a glimmer of light in the dark night. "That's right." The middle-aged man clapped his hands and said excitedly, "Although the second elder can't open the butterfly transformation pond, he has greatly weakened the restriction's defense. We only need to forcefully tear it apart and we'll be able to put her in the pond." Their target was instantly clear. The middle-aged man took the lead and stood in the air. The people around him followed closely and gathered in the sky above the butterfly transformation pond. "We'll go and help too," Han Ichuan said hurriedly. "I don't need you guys." The man who had stopped the two of them from ascending the Dao platform shouted coldly, "I've said that you humans can't go near the butterfly transformation pond." Han Ichuan's face darkened. Just as he was about to retaliate, he was stopped by Chu Hen's outstretched hand. Chu Hen shook his head at him. Han Ichuan could only continue to stand on the spot and watch. More than 10 ancestral butterfly clan powerhouses hovered in the sky, and each of them released a vast and powerful aura. They accumulated an endless amount of energy and waited for the second elder's instructions. The southeast position is 30 meters to the left. The defense is the weakest. Attack! Attack! A thunderous sound spread out. With the order, more than 10 ancestral butterfly clan powerhouses formed hand seals at the same time. Condensed beams of light swept down like auroras and attacked the southeast side of the light barrier. Bang! The space trembled uneasily. The entire light barrier surged with layers of distorted ripples of light. The area that was attacked was violently distorted. It looked as weak as a thin piece of paper, but in reality, the impact it had to endure was incomparably shocking. "Hurry up!" Ilian, who was carrying Qiao Shaowan, was extremely anxious. He almost could not feel the other's aura anymore. The layer of golden light floating around Qiao Shaowan's body gradually thinned and dimmed. Her vitality was quickly fading. Her small, pale face was dark and gloomy, without a trace of blood. Han Ichuan was already so anxious that he could not stand still. He paced back and forth like an ant on a hot pan. "Crazy girl, you're already home. Hold on." Chu Hen's gaze was fixed on the light barrier in front of him. Although he was also very anxious, he was much calmer than Han Ichuan. After all, in this kind of situation, there was no use in being anxious. More than 10 ancestral butterfly clan powerhouses and the second elder almost did not hold back at all. Even so, as an important place of the ancestral butterfly clan, the butterfly transformation pool's restriction was as strong as a golden soup. "Hurry up!" the second elder shouted in a deep voice. The more than 10 ancestral butterfly clan powerhouses in the air all gritted their teeth and injected even more power into the barrier. Buzz, buzz, the powerful beams of light that pierced through the air were like more than 10 divine swords that pierced through the air. They continuously attacked one area of the barrier. Under the enormous pressure, the light barrier showed irregular distortions, and an extremely unstable rhythm was continuously transmitted. Boom! A loud and heavy sound suddenly exploded between heaven and earth. A violent cyclone swept through the entire area like a storm that swept through the heavens and the earth. The earth trembled and the airflow surged. layers of airwaves, with the sky above the butterfly transformation pool as the center, rushed out in all directions with a crushing force. The expressions of more than 10 ancestral butterfly clan powerhouses changed greatly. The aura that they had erupted with was instantly suppressed, and the chaotic energy waves whistled through the air. Apart from the second elder, all the ancestral butterfly clan powerhouses were sent flying. The entire Tao platform fell into a violent tremor, and everyone's gazes were focused on the place where the attack came from. They saw that the huge light barrier had a crack that was about half a meter wide, and a wave of dense immortal spiritual energy gushed out of the crack. "No, the crack is too small, and it can't fit one person in," the second elder shouted loudly. "It's too late." Just as everyone was about to put in more effort, Lien's hoarse voice caused everyone's hearts to tremble. They saw the golden light that was attached to Qiao Xiaowan's body recede at a speed visible to the naked eye. Like the fading sunset, it gradually disappeared. What was left of her life force was also flowing away. No. Han Ichuan felt as if he had been struck by lightning, and his entire body trembled. Lien looked at the crack on the shield that was less than half a meter wide, and it was slowly healing. In the end, he shook his head helplessly. "It's too late." Swoosh. Before he finished speaking, a black shadow suddenly flashed before his eyes. Then, his arm loosened, and Qiao Xiaowan, who was in his arms, suddenly disappeared without a trace. A gust of wind blew, and airwaves flew everywhere. The hearts of everyone present couldn't help but shudder. They saw a young figure shrouded in purple light carrying Qiao Xiaowan quickly toward the butterfly transformation pool in the center of the Tao platform. Buzz! An icy aura filled the world, and along with the distortion of space, a demonic purple flame suddenly rose from the crack on the light barrier. The ancestral butterfly clan's second elder's pupils shrank, and his face was full of shock as he softly said with a trembling voice, "Solitary burning demon flame, impudent." A few of the ancestral butterfly clan's higher-ups shouted at Chu Hen. The butterfly transformation pool is an important place, and humans are not allowed to approach it. However, Chu Hen didn't seem to hear the shouts behind him. His eyes were as sharp as a sword, and his face was as cold as frost. His eyes constantly emitted a powerful aura. The purple flame burned around the edge of the crack, and its healing speed slowed down. Buzz! At the same time, another wave of ferocious might invaded out from Chu Hen's body. For example, a black light that was like the netherworld flame rose up. The black light floated and converged behind Chu Hen, and instantly turned into a black shadow. It was like a witch spirit in the darkness. Swoosh! The black shadow immediately separated from Chu Hen's body, and with lightning speed, it arrived next to the crack on the light barrier. It placed its hands on both sides of the crack, and a shocking aura erupted between heaven and earth. Rumble! The sky trembled, and the earth shook. The talismans on the entire Tao platform intertwined and flickered. The violent cyclone mixed with invisible pressure attacked everyone's heart. Under everyone's shocked gazes, the black shadow's arms erupted with the power of thunder, and the crack that was less than half a meter wide was forcibly pulled open again. What? The entire butterfly transformation pool was shocked. Everyone in the room widened their eyes in shock. Crack! Thunder rolled, and the wind and clouds changed. The cold and domineering power shook everyone. The black shadow had the power to break the star river and the earth, and tore apart the restriction. It directly pulled open the crack that was half a meter long to more than a meter wide. Whoosh! Before everyone could recover from the shock, Chu Hen carried Qiao Xiaowan through the crack and flashed into the light barrier. The moment the golden light on Qiao Xiaowan's body disappeared, Chu Hen threw her into the spirit pool below without hesitation. Splash! Chapter 11:24. Rumble! There was a loud splash, and in an instant, all the runes inside and outside the platform lit up, like a mysterious constellation of stars that were connected to each other. The dazzling glyph array released dazzling light that shot into the sky. Countless eye-catching patterns of light soared into the sky, like a sign of the ever-changing divine tribulation. Tens of thousands of light raindrops rose into the sky and gathered above the butterfly transformation pond. Did he make it in time? Ilian murmured. The other experts from the ancestral butterfly clan furrowed their brows and wore solemn expressions. At the same time, the crack in the light barrier that had been torn open began to move rhythmically, and it closed again at a rapid speed. The expressions of the ancestral butterfly clan changed drastically. Looking at Chu Hen, who had not come out, they all shouted, "Come out immediately, humans can't stay here. Damn it, something big is going to happen." The crack quickly closed, and it immediately shrank from more than 1 meter to less than 1 meter. Chu Hen's figure was faintly discernible in the thick spirit mist, but he was still quite a distance away from the exit. Just when everyone had a premonition that something bad was about to happen, there was a sudden whooshing sound as a dark green sword shadow pierced through the crack in the light barrier like a shooting star. Blue Ran sword. Han Ichuan's eyes lit up, and he called out in a low voice. Whoosh! As he spoke, a swift and fierce afterimage suddenly appeared next to the blue Ran sword that pierced through the air. The afterimage flickered and turned into Chu Hen's figure Buzz. Almost at the same time, the crack in the light barrier completely closed. There was a flash of light, and even the traces were completely erased. He came and went like the wind, and he was as fast as lightning. He tore open the restriction, sent Xiao Shaowan into the butterfly transformation pond, and then came out from inside. All of this was done in an instant. All the experts of the ancestral butterfly clan were stunned. Rumble waves surged within the butterfly transformation pond. A rain of light swirled about, rushing into the heavens. The dense immortal spiritual mist filled the entire interior of the pool stage, so no one could see Xiao Shaowan's current situation. Then, a strange and majestic rhythm spread out in the sky. Everyone raised their heads and looked up. Chu Hen also turned around and saw the endless golden light that gathered between the heavens and the earth fused together and gradually formed a giant butterfly phantom, like a dream or an illusion, real or fake. Its huge body covered the sky, and its butterfly wings fluttered slowly, glowing with a dazzling and soft light. At the sight of this, everyone from the ancestral butterfly race heaved a sigh of relief. That was close. I almost failed. Our race has gained another true ancestral butterfly, the patriarch butterfly said. Everyone exclaimed in admiration. Chu Hen, Han Ichuan's heart that was hanging in suspense could finally be put down. In the end, he still made it in time. Haha, it's not time for this crazy girl to die. Han Ichuan's voice was trembling, and his laughter was a little dry, but he was very happy. At the edge of the butterfly transformation pond, the second elder withdrew his aura and heaved a long sigh of relief. Then, he looked at Chu Hen, who had landed on the ground. Thank you for your help just now, little friend. I hope you can forgive us if we've neglected you before. The others also turned to look at him. Moreover, his gaze towards Chu Hen was a little less vigilant and a little more friendly. Chu Hen cupped his fists and bowed back. Elder, you're too kind. Xiao Wan is our friend, and this is what I should do. You don't need to thank me. The second elder nodded. She has entered the butterfly transformation pond, and the situation has been stabilized. We have some follow-up matters to deal with here. You can go and rest now and leave the rest to us. Thank you. Chu Hen also understood that there was no need to interfere in this matter, so he immediately nodded and agreed. Then, the second elder ordered a young man to lead Chu Hen and Xiao Wan out of the butterfly transformation pond and to a unique guest house to rest. It was different from the guest house in the outside world. The house they lived in was the treehouse they had seen before. The treehouse was sturdy and comfortable, and it had a wonderful feeling of being in harmony with nature. This girl finally got what she wanted. Han Ichuan looked at the two treehouses in front of him, and he was still talking about Xiao Shaowan. Chu Hen smiled, and there was a hint of relief between his eyebrows. But at the same time, he felt a little lucky. Fortunately, he did not go to the martial sect first. Fortunately, he did not choose to carry out the assessment mission on the way here. If there had been any delay on the way, even for a minute, the result would have been different. The two treehouses were built on the east and west sides of a huge tree. The door faced south, and it was more than 10 meters above the ground, so they could enjoy the beautiful scenery in front of them. Wait! Han Ichuan suddenly thought of something. He squinted his eyes and stared at the other party suspiciously. You really don't have a Xian body at the limit of your bloodline? Chu Hen was startled and casually replied, Yes, didn't I test it during the assessment? It's fake, right? Han Ichuan rejected. Even such a powerful restriction can be torn apart in the butterfly transformation pond. How can you not even have a Xian body? Chu Hen shrugged, indicating that he did not know. Han Ichuan's small eyes looked as if he was staring at a monster, and it made Chu Hen uncomfortable. I'm resting, don't disturb me. After saying that, Chu Hen turned and walked into the treehouse behind him, and casually gave the other party a closed door. Han Ichuan rolled his eyes in disdain, and then walked into the house to rest. The clean treehouse was filled with the fresh smell of trees. The interior decoration was very simple, with a small bed, a square table, and 2 wooden chairs. A small window was opened on the north side. Outside the window, birds were singing, flowers were fragrant, and butterflies were fluttering, showing the beautiful scenery of spring. It must be said that such an environment was pleasing to the eye, and people wanted to stay here for a long time. Of course, Chu Hen did not plan to stay for a long time. When Qiao Shaowan was done here, he would immediately leave. Immediately, Chu Hen sat down on the wooden chair. Then he turned his palm, and with a hua, a white light flashed, and a hemispherical black object fell into his hand. He could feel a faint warmth spreading through his body. It was not like a stone, nor was it metal. The internal structure was very strong. This object was the mysterious substance hidden in the head of the ancient corpse in the lake. It was so hard that even the dripping god's spear could not break it. No one would believe that it was just an ordinary stone. Try it, with some suspicion, Chu Hen injected a trace of true inner force. The true inner force entered the hemispherical stone, and like a sponge absorbing water, it disappeared instantly. The true inner force is ineffective. Chu Hen's eyes narrowed, and then he opened his Naiwan palace. A condensed Reiki energy was released, and then it wrapped around the mysterious object. Just like before, the Reiki energy was like a clay ox entering the sea, and there was no reaction. This was a little embarrassing. The two most basic forces actually had no reaction at all. Could it be that it was just an ordinary stone, just a little harder? Chu Hen shook his head and rejected this idea. If it was just a stone, how could it be hidden in the head of the ancient corpse in the lake, huh? Chu Hen's eyes suddenly lit up, and he was surprised to find that there were strange patterns on the surface of the stone. These patterns were very subtle, and if one did not look carefully, it would be difficult to notice. Chu Hen carefully examined the patterns on the surface, and a group of twisted patterns appeared to be in an irregular state. Chapter 11:25. This is a rune. The corners of Chu Hen's eyes turned cold, and a hint of astonishment flashed across his eyes. The fine lines on the hemispherical stone were very peculiar. Upon closer inspection, they were quite similar to runes. This discovery immediately made Chu Hen feel pleasantly surprised. Immediately, Chu Hen flipped his hand and took out a blank scroll, brush, and ink from his storage device. Then, Chu Hen carefully copied the lines on the stone with the brush. A hook and a stroke, the force of the brush was slow and steady. Soon, 5 strange rune diagrams took shape under Chu Hen's brush. Looking at the runes on the surface, Chu Hen felt that they were unfamiliar. Up until now, he had reached the level of a heaven-level rune master, and the number of runes he knew exceeded 10,000. However, this was the first time he had seen these runes in front of him. Chu Hen couldn't help but doubt his own thoughts. Let's give it a try. After pondering for a while, Chu Hen had a thought, and a bright spot of light appeared between his brows. Wisps of Reiki energy gushed out of his Niwen palace like gossamer patterns and circled around his fingertip. According to the diagrams on the paper, Chu Hen accurately controlled the shape and direction of the Reiki energy. Then, the first rune quietly took shape in Chu Hen's palm. This was a rune that looked a little like a goat's horn. It swayed gently and emitted a glow like that of a firefly. Sensing the obscure energy waves coming from within the rune, Chu Hen's eyes lit up, and he was immediately certain, it's a rune. He opened his fingers slightly, and the rune on his palm shattered into sparkling fragments of light. Chu Hen once again focused his attention on the hemispherical stone. Stroke by stroke, hook by hook, he copied down all the lines on it. After nearly 4 hours of concentrated attention, Chu Hen let out a long sigh of relief. He could not help but feel that his eyes were a little blurry. He rubbed the corner of his eyes and looked at the long scroll on the table, which was covered with densely packed rune numbers. He felt a small sense of accomplishment. Next, it was time to verify the power attribute and use of these runes. Buzz, with a thought, a slight chi pattern appeared in front of him. Several runes condensed in a row. The difficulty of condensing runes was much easier than he had imagined. Strings of light patterns gathered in front of Chu Hen. They were like spirit butterflies floating in the air. It was also like the vast stars that revolved around the bright moon. In an instant, Chu Hen's room was filled with a colorful, strange, and gentle light. Chu Hen was so focused on this that he completely forgot about the time. He didn't even know that the sky outside the window had already turned dark. Hundreds of rune halos shone brightly, creating a strong sense of visual beauty. However, what puzzled Chu Hen was that these runes actually didn't have too strong of an energy fluctuation. Obviously, this could not be justified. The rune technique possessed extremely violent energy. Powerful rune masters could move mountains and fill seas, fuse water and fire, teleport, and so on using Reiki energy to shape runes, arranging runes, and combining them into extraordinary rune technique. These were the 3 main steps. However, after Chu Hen arranged these runes in front of him, they didn't produce any energy fluctuation. Strange. Why is there no movement? Chu Hen frowned, sometimes pondering, and sometimes shaking his head. Wrong arrangement? No. Even if the rune arrangement was wrong, there should be a side effect, causing the runes to repel each other, resulting in a chaotic collision of power, but since there was no wrong arrangement, there was no reason for there to be no reaction. Filled with many doubts, Chu Hen once again arranged the runes in another set of order. Time ticked by. The runes in front of Chu Hen had already evolved into hundreds of different arrangements, but the result was still the same. No matter how the runes in front of him mixed and changed, they didn't produce the slightest energy fluctuation. His inner expectations gradually turned into disappointment. After trying for a long time, there was no result. Chu Hen only felt a headache. The only conclusion he could come to was that these runes were too stable. No matter how he arranged them, there would be no repulsion. What a waste of time. Looks like it's just a stupid rock. Chu Hen sighed. Looking at the hemispherical rock on the table, he finally shook his head. But at this moment, Chu Hen suddenly felt a trace of obscure power in his body. Like a dragonfly touching the surface of the water, ripples quietly appeared, but they quickly disappeared. This is? Chu Hen had already sensed that momentary ripple. His face revealed a stunned expression as he muttered in a low voice, "That was the great Tao Divine Stone." After the battle in the ancient Baron's Heaven Realm, Chu Hen put the fragment of the Divine Tao Stone into his purple palace. For so long, the Divine Tao Stone had been quiet and didn't make the slightest movement. That energy just now? Soon after, Chu Hen held his breath, calmed his heart, and carefully sensed. However, like a night-blooming flower, there was no movement in his purple palace. Was it an illusion? Chu Hen rubbed his swollen head and sighed. Bang bang! At this moment, there was a knock on the door. It's been 2 days. Aren't you bored inside? Han Ichuan's voice came from outside. 2 days? Chu Hen was startled. Had it been so long? Without waiting for Chu Hen's reply, Han Ichuan pushed the door open and walked in. As soon as the wooden door opened, a cool breeze passed through the hall and bright light shone in. Chu Hen unconsciously felt refreshed and relaxed. What are you doing? What nonsense are you writing? Han Ichuan glanced at the scroll on the table. Chu Hen smiled. Nothing much. I picked up a rock on the road. It looked like a treasure, so I studied it for a while. Han Ichuan didn't think much of it. You picked up a treasure on the road? Take me there one day. I'm bored to death. Let's go out for a walk? Yes. Chu Hen didn't refuse. After being bored for so long, it was a good choice to go out for a walk. Then, he put away the rock and scroll on the table, and the two walked out of the wooden house. The beautiful spring scenery outside swept away the boredom in his mind. The place where the ancestral butterfly clan lived could be said to be gorgeous like a painting. The lush forest built natural homes one after another. In the square garden, more than 10 children were running and playing without any worries. It really looks like a paradise. Chu Hen sighed softly. Why? Don't you want to go? Han Ichuan joked. Chu Hen shook his head. How is that possible? I still have a lot of things to do. Everyone from the ancestral butterfly clan looked at Chu Hen and Han Ichuan curiously. There were even a few bold children who walked directly in front of the two. Are you the ones who brought our clansmen back? A little girl with pigtails blinked her big eyes and asked. Han Ichuan nodded and said with a smile, What's wrong? Little girl, do you have a reward for uncle? The little girl was stunned at first. Then, she took out an apple-like fruit from her pocket and handed it to him. The other children also took out a few spirit fruits and handed them to the two. This time, it was Han Ichuan's turn to be stunned. He hurriedly declined. No need, no need. I'm just playing with you. However, the little girl became even more serious. I really want to thank you. A clansman who can transform into a butterfly is very important to us. The two were stunned. They didn't think that a child could say something like that. Why? Aren't you going to transform into butterflies in the future? Han Ichuan asked casually. The little girl shook her head. There was a hint of worry in her big bright eyes. I don't know if I can transform into a butterfly in the future. Oh! Han Ichuan looked puzzled. At this moment, a deep male voice came from somewhere else. Not all ancestral butterflies can transform into butterflies. The group looked in the direction of the voice and saw a handsome young man walking over. Brother Ilian, the children shouted happily. The person who came was none other than the leader of the patrol team who led Chu Hen, Han Ichuan, and Xiao Shaowan back. Ilian. The latter smiled warmly at the children. Go and play. But don't forget to do your homework. If you get scolded by second elder, I won't help you. Got it. We'll be leaving first. It was obvious that Ilian was very liked by the children. All of them smiled and ran off. I'm really sorry. I've been guarding the butterfly transformation pool with the higher-ups of the clan for the past 2 days. We didn't have the time to take care of you too. Please forgive us, Ilian said apologetically. There was still fatigue on his face. It seemed that he hadn't rested for a long time. How's the crazy girl? Han Ichuan was the first to ask. Don't worry. Everything is going well. If there are no accidents, she can transform into a butterfly today. Ilian replied. Han Ichuan's face was filled with joy. Chu Hen's eyes also lit up. That's great. Yes. Ilian revealed a happy smile. Our clan will have another true ancestral butterfly. If her bloodline rank is high enough, the other clansmen will have hope too. The other clansmen? Chu Hen looked confused. Han Ichuan also asked, What do you mean? Are there ancestral butterflies that can't transform? Ilian was stunned at first. He hesitated for a moment before answering, Not all clansmen can transform into butterflies. Just like how all humans in the world aren't geniuses, the purity of the bloodline determines the conditions for transforming into butterflies. Even at our peak, only 1/3 of our clansmen can transform into butterflies. Now it's less than 1/5. Ilian didn't intentionally hide this. He could see that the two humans in front of him truly cared about Xiao Shaowan. So he told them the truth. After listening, Chu Hen and Han Ichuan couldn't help but feel surprised. They didn't expect that less than 1/5 of the entire ancestral butterfly clan could transform into butterflies. It was no wonder that one of the strongest demon clans back then would be reduced to hiding in the Ganchi mountain range. Then what do you mean when you said that she's the hope of our clansmen? Chu Hen asked. Ilian raised his head slightly and looked at the sky with anticipation in his eyes. An ancestral butterfly with a high bloodline can help an ancestral butterfly with a low bloodline improve its bloodline. Take me for example. It was Second Elder who helped me transform into a butterfly. Ilian turned to look at the white butterfly wings behind him and shook his head slightly helplessly. Unfortunately, after transforming into a butterfly, I only have 2 wings and can't help other clansmen. To improve the bloodline of my clansmen, I have to at least reach Second Elder's level, which is 4 wings, the two nodded. Previously at the butterfly transformation pool, Second Elder did indeed have 4 wings on her back. Moreover, the color was bright gold. Her aura was obviously much higher than Ilian's. What's the bloodline of this crazy girl? Han Ichuan asked curiously. I don't know for now, but from the various signs before she transformed into a butterfly, she shouldn't be weaker than Second Elder. Ilian said. Oh? She also has 4 wings. As they were chatting, a strong energy fluctuation suddenly came from the sky behind the valley. Everyone looked up. The sky was shrouded in clouds, and there seemed to be lightning flashing in the clouds. The wind blew and the clouds surged. A vast power spread in all directions. Chapter 11:26. It's the location of the butterfly transformation pond, Ilian exclaimed. Chu Hen and Han Ichuan were also shocked. The latter asked, Is it going to transform into a butterfly? I don't know. Ilian's face was full of confusion. His brows were tightly knitted together. There has never been such a big movement before. Something might happen. After saying that, Ilian did not say anything else. He flew up into the sky and hurriedly flew in the direction of the butterfly transformation pond. Chu Hen and Han Ichuan could not stand still anymore. They turned into 2 streams of light and flew up. Swoosh, 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 figures hurriedly flew across the sky, rushing in the same direction. In the sky ahead, the wind and clouds surged, and the lightning tribulation rolled. A fierce, piercingly cold wind rushed in their faces. Inside and outside the butterfly transformation pond, a dazzling, mysterious glyph array bloomed with dazzling silver holy light. The huge Tao platform was enveloped in a luxurious giant array. Lights intertwined and connected, like the stars in the vast universe were connected in the sky above the butterfly transformation pond. A giant butterfly shadow became more and more solid. The butterfly shadow was like an ancient creature that walked out of an illusion. Its limbs, body, wings. Every inch of its body swayed with golden light, and its entire body emitted an ancient aura. In the outer region of the Tao platform, many of the ancestral butterfly clan's upper echelons looked solemn. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the interior of the butterfly transformation pond. Inside the butterfly transformation pond, which was covered by a giant shield of light, was a dense mist. Under the dense immortal aura, a giant cocoon of light emitted waves of strong rhythmic movements. What happened? Ilian hurriedly led Chu Hen and Han Ichuan to this place. Everyone, including the Second Elder, was silent, their expressions grim. Chu Hen and Han Ichuan stood behind with heavy eyes. Rumble! A violent tremor engulfed the entire area. Waves surged in the butterfly transformation pond, followed by a heavy cracking sound. Under everyone's shocked gazes, The top of the light shield that covered the pond actually showed a long, narrow crack. It was like a lightning net spreading out. Then, with a bang, the top of the giant light barrier suddenly cracked and exploded. A violent wind pillar soared into the sky, piercing through the blue dome of heaven. The dozen or so stone pillars surrounding the Tao platform all lit up. The rune formation above it released a divine splendor. Buzz, the earth trembled and the mountains grew restless. The huge cocoon of light in the spirit pool slowly rose into the sky and floated out of the butterfly transformation pool. It flew below the huge butterfly in the sky. Tens of thousands of rays of light shone from the cocoon. It was as if the sun was shining in the sky. Everyone felt as if the divine sun had arrived, and the earth was covered in a layer of divine brilliance. At the same time, the turbulence in the sky became more and more violent. Numerous berserk lightning pillars were like silver dragons and pythons that surged through the sea of clouds. Their might was shocking, and they emanated a majestic aura that could destroy the heavens. Could it be? Many of the older elders in the clan revealed expressions of deep shock. Clang, in an instant, a bolt of lightning as thick as a water tank tore through the sky, stirring up a fierce destructive force as it fell directly towards the light cocoon below. Not good. Ilian and the other members of the younger generation turned pale with fright. The former was about to rush out, but was stopped by the second elder. Second elder. Before he could finish his sentence, the peerless lightning bolt struck the cocoon of light. Boom! Lightning crisscrossed, sparks flew everywhere. The silver light patterns wantonly swam about, the space trembled, and chaotic air waves whistled out, shaking the people on the platform until they could not stand steadily. Without my order, no one is allowed to act rashly, the second elder shouted with a serious face. The expressions of everyone present changed again and again. No one had ever seen the usually gentle second elder be so serious like this. Boom! Then, another terrifying bolt of lightning pierced through the sky. This bolt of lightning was about 3 times thicker than the previous one, and its imposing manner was like a heavy mountain pressing down. Violent winds howled through the entire area, and tornado-like cyclones eroded the earth. Feeling the terrifying aura of this lightning tribulation, everyone's heart was in their throats. Clang! The lightning was like a dragon, diving into the heavenly river. The powerful and violent lightning once again struck the light cocoon in the sky. The spectacular scene was like a divine sword flying from the heavens, steadily striking a meteorite, breaking the lightning with an unstoppable momentum. Thousands of electric arcs flashed, and a monstrous surge of power swept through the entire area. The wind howled angrily, and the runes on the platform shone dazzlingly, shaking uneasily. Following that, one bolt of lightning after another shot down from the clouds, piercing through the sky. Moreover, the power of the lightning tribulation was stronger than the previous one. Each tribulation was more violent and terrifying than the previous one. The space within a radius of nearly 1,000 miles trembled, and the entire territory of the ancestral butterfly tribe was in turmoil. Everyone's heartstrings seemed to be stretched to the extreme. They were afraid that the light cocoon would vanish under the impact of this destructive lightning in the next second. Rumble! At this moment, the entire sky above the butterfly transformation pond was in a state of distortion. Above the 9 heavens, a vast nebula spun rapidly like a sky-covering millstone, stirring up the airflow of heaven and earth. Endless lightning tribulation descended, and at the same time, they rapidly gathered together, instantly turning into a deep and gloomy black lightning. A thick aura of destruction spread out. Everyone's faces were pale with fright. Second elder! An elderly man shouted loudly. However, the second elder clenched his fists tightly, his brows deeply sunken, his eyes fixed on the sky, and he shouted in a low voice, "No one move, this is crazy." Han Ichuan also held his head with his hands, standing uneasily. Such a terrifying power, even a late ancient eternal realm expert would be smashed to pieces. But these people actually didn't care about Xiao Xiaowan? Chu Hen's expression was solemn, his hands clenched into fists, his heart filled with unknown and torment. Boom! Incomparably huge black lightning gathered endless destructive power, and the friction between the airflow and it let out a heavy roar. Space twisted, and the heavens and earth trembled. For example, the huge black dragon that broke through the sea of clouds, a ferocious aura that seemed capable of destroying everything, crashed into the cocoon of light. The chaotic shockwave was comparable to a meteor explosion. The overwhelming lightning tribulation exploded, countless bolts of lightning flashed in the sky, splashing in all directions, and landing on the Tao platform below. The stone tiles on the ground cracked inch by inch, and cracks appeared. The mountain peaks on both sides were swept away by the shockwave, and a thick layer of stone and soil was directly scraped off. Everyone on the Tao platform was jolted backwards, but everyone's eyes were still fixed on one spot. They saw that the cocoon of light was covered with black arcs of lightning. Dense arcs of lightning swam around the cocoon of light, and the light of glorious sun that it originally emitted was also completely restrained. The power of lightning was like an invading beast, attacking. Wung. Suddenly, the cocoon of light emitted a gentle glow, and something unexpected happened. The constantly falling black lightning actually merged into the interior of the cocoon at a speed visible to the naked eye. Everyone's hearts were filled with shock, and their expressions changed again and again. She's absorbing the power of the lightning tribulation? Gotcha! Just as he finished speaking, a heart-shaking cracking sound rang out in everyone's ears. Cracks appeared on the surface of the cocoon of light. Chapter 11:27. Crack. The clear cracking sound was like a water droplet that touched the heartstrings of everyone present. Everyone's pupils shrank to a point. Like a giant egg that had just broken its shell, a beam of dazzling light shot out of the light cocoon and into the sky. The dazzling light beam slowly unfolded, swaying like an open fan. Under everyone's astonished gazes, it turned into a pure, holy, and beautiful white butterfly wing. In that instant, it was like a divine rainbow after the rain that dazzled the entire place. Everything in the world was overshadowed at this moment. Bang! A shattering sound rang out. Like a burst bubble, the huge cocoon of light turned into sparkling fragments that filled the sky. A rain of light danced and fell like flowers. The thunderclouds in the sky quickly retreated, and tens of thousands of beams of divine light shone down. Under the gazes of the entire ancestral butterfly clan, a butterfly exuding a holy aura appeared in the sky in the middle of the flying rain of light fragments. It was incomparably beautiful, and rings of stars hovered around it. Every inch of its body exuded nobility. Everyone's eyes were glued to her butterfly wings, the 4 wings spread out, looking as strange and exquisite as maple leaves. 4 wings. It's 4 wings. Yen and the other ancestral butterfly's eyes brightened. As soon as his voice fell, 2 more beams of light shot out from the center of the butterfly wings. With a dazzling light shadow, the 2 beams of light unfolded and turned into 2 wings again. Boom! The sudden scene instantly set off a monstrous wave in everyone's heart. The entire ancestral butterfly clan was in an uproar that they had never experienced before. Even the second elder's arm couldn't help but tremble. Chu Hen and Han Ichuan's eyes were also wide open, their faces full of astonishment. 6 wings. Oh my God, am I dreaming? 6 wings, it's 6 wings. Second elder, it's 6 wings. The higher echelons of the clan were so excited that they couldn't even speak coherently. It's an imperial bloodline. Ha 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 ha, God bless our ancestral butterfly clan. How many years has it been? Finally, a member of our clan with 6 wings has appeared. I can't believe it's true. The 6 wings swayed, dragging illusory shadow wings in the air. Accompanied by a powerful and majestic aura, the enormous body of the 6-winged butterfly glowed with a multicolored light. The light enveloped its entire body, and then it shrank at a speed visible to the naked eye. Then, he transformed into a normal human form. Soon, a familiar figure appeared before Chu-hen and Han Ichuan. That crazy girl is back. Han Ichuan smiled from the bottom of his heart. Chu-hen's heart that was hanging in suspense was also completely relaxed. Dazzling rings of light revolved around her body, and the 6 butterfly wings on her back constantly changed colors. At this moment, Qiao Shaowan was like the legendary flower fairy that grew in the forest, emitting a refined spiritual energy. She slowly opened her eyes. Her clear eyes were bright and moving. When she saw the excited faces below her, she couldn't help but feel a little astonished. Who are you? Where am I? Ancestral Butterfly Tribe. Second Elder said excitedly. Child, you are at home, home? Hearing these 2 words, a warm smile appeared on Qiao Shaowan's face. Kunchi Mountain Range? Where are my friends? Crazy girl, we are here. Han Ichuan hurriedly shouted in a clear voice. Chu-hen also smiled and raised his hand. Then, Qiao Shaowan flew down. Facing the current environment, it seemed that standing next to Chu-hen and Han Ichuan was more relaxing. How do you feel? Chu-hen asked. Qiao Shaowan shook her head. I've never felt so good. That's good. You should know that we were almost scared to death 2 days ago. Fortunately, Chu-hen sent you into the butterfly transformation pool in time. Otherwise, we would have been separated by life and death. Han Ichuan said. Qiao Shaowan looked at Chu-hen. She was very touched. Chu-hen rubbed his nose and smiled. It's not as exaggerated as he said. Your tribe did their best to protect you. The ancestral butterfly tribe members were touched. Although the faces in front of her were very unfamiliar, the aura on their bodies made Qiao Shaowan feel a sense of belonging at ease. The arrival of the 6-winged ancestral butterfly brought great confidence and hope to the ancestral butterfly tribe. Meanwhile, Chu-hen and Han Ichuan were treated as distinguished guests by the ancestral butterfly tribe. The 2 did not leave immediately. Qiao Shaowan had just woken up. She still needed some time to adapt to this new environment. She also needed to understand the situation in the tribe. However, Chu-hen would not stay here for long. After all, there was only a month left before the martial ancestor assessment ended. He still had assessment tasks to complete. On the 3rd day after Qiao Shaowan transformed into a butterfly, Chu-hen was ready to leave. In an ancient and beautiful pavilion. The pavilion was built at the top of a huge ancient tree. Sturdy vines intertwined to form a staircase. The pavilion at the top was grand and unique. In the lobby, Qiao Shaowan glared at the 2nd elder with her big eyes and pouted slightly to show her dissatisfaction. Old man, can you not let so many people watch me every day? I'm so annoyed. You've just transformed into a butterfly. The power in your body might be unstable. I'm doing this for your own good. Also, please call me 2nd elder. But I heard that other people don't get this treatment when they transform into butterflies. That's because you're the 6-winged ancestral butterfly. Your bloodline is only 2nd to Master Butterfly Sovereign. I can't let anything happen to you. One must admit that the 2nd elder treated Qiao Shaowan like a treasure after he witnessed her possessing 6 wings with his own eyes. There were people watching over her all the time. She was well fed and well housed, afraid that something might happen to her. Qiao Shaowan, who had been used to being wild in the past, could not stand such treatment. After a few days, she had a lot of opinions about the 2nd elder. 2nd to Master Butterfly Sovereign? Qiao Shaowan's eyes lit up. She asked curiously, how many wings does Master Butterfly Sovereign have? 8 wings. 2nd elder's eyes were clearly filled with respect. Wow. Qiao Shaowan was a little shocked. Where is he? Why don't I see him? 2nd elder's expression dimmed as he spoke to this point. Master Butterfly Sovereign has fallen into an infinite slumber. Otherwise, our ancestral butterfly tribe wouldn't be reduced to this state. Slumber? Why? Sigh. 2nd elder sighed and nodded. He said, you should know about this. The world has never been peaceful since the beginning of time. The humans, the Devil Territory, and the Devil Territory have always been in conflict. A series of wars broke out. It started 10,000 years ago and continued to thousands of years ago. It was the most chaotic holy war. The great monster emperor, the Devil Lord, the almighty of the humans. Countless powerhouses from all sides fell. Our ancestral butterfly tribe suffered a heavy blow in that war thousands of years ago. Later on, due to internal disagreements in the Devil Territory, our tribe left the Devil Territory and was left in the Ganchi mountain range. Second Elder could not help but sigh when he recalled the past. He calmed himself down and continued, Master Butterfly Sovereign was severely injured in many holy wars. In addition to that, she fought against the leaders in the Devil Territory to protect her people. In the end, she exhausted her vitality and fell into an endless slumber. Perhaps she'll never wake up again. It's because there were too many wars that many of our people are lost outside. Second Elder looked at Xiao Shaowan deeply after he spoke. Therefore, you'll be our hope, Sai. Xiao Shaowan looked helpless. She pursed her lips and said, Old man, you're putting a lot of pressure on me. I'm only a six-winger. What kind of hope is that? It's good that you're a six-winger now, but it doesn't mean you won't evolve again in the future. Then I'd rather be like this. Second Elder was speechless. He could almost see the gloomy faces of the other elders after they returned from the Devil Territory. Even if I don't force you, the Grand Elder and the others won't think so. Didn't you say that the internal disagreements in the Devil Territory are serious? Why did they go to the Devil Territory? Xiao Shaowan asked casually. Second Elder shook his head. Even so, the Devil Territory is our birthplace after all. Moreover, bringing back the Demon Emperor's remains is a big matter. We have the right to participate. I have nothing better to do. Second Elder felt helpless again. He didn't know who brought this girl up, but she was actually so rude. Lady Shaowan, your two friends are here. At this moment, a young guard appeared at the door and said, Since Xiao Shaowan was a six-winged ancestral butterfly, her bloodline was superior to most ancestral butterflies. Therefore, her status was very noble. Apart from the elders, everyone else addressed him as Lord. Is that so? Let them in. Xiao Shaowan's eyes lit up as she said. The shadow at the door gradually approached. Two familiar figures walked into the hall. Second Elder. Chu Hen and Han Ichuan first cupped their fists and greeted Second Elder. The latter nodded and smiled. Why are you two here? I was thinking of looking for you later. I'm going to suffocate to death. Xiao Shaowan hopped over, blinking her big eyes in excitement. The two looked at each other and Chu Hen said, I'm here to say goodbye. What? You're leaving? Happy's smile immediately disappeared. Second Elder also walked over. Why don't you stay for a few more days? Chu Hen replied in a gentle tone, I still have important matters to attend to. It's not convenient for me to stay here for long. Oh. Xiao Shaowan was slightly disappointed. By the way, you still have to go to martial sect. Chu Hen smiled and said nothing more. Then, Xiao Shaowan glared at Second Elder, who was next to her. The latter felt goosebumps all over his body from her glare. Old man, my two friends encountered a lot of trouble on the way to send me here. Don't tell me you don't have anything to say? As soon as he said this, everyone present was stunned. Chu Hen quickly declined. No need. Since I promised to send you back, I will naturally keep my word. What do you mean no need? Since I'm already home, my parents should naturally thank me. Am I right, old man? Haha, of course. The Second Elder replied with a smile. My two young friends, this trip has a great impact on our ancestral butterfly clan. I will definitely return the favor. Why should I thank you? If it's too little, it will embarrass me, Lady Shaowan. Xiao Shaowan continued. Second Elder cursed in his heart. This girl is really siding with an outsider. Isn't she too biased toward my friends? However, Second Elder was not stingy when it came to expressing his gratitude. With a gentle smile, he said, "My two young friends, please come with me." The two were just about to refuse when Qiao Shaowan took their arms and dragged them outside. Don't be so polite. If you leave just like this, I will feel bad." Chu Hen and Han Ichuan looked at each other helplessly and smiled. They could only agree. A moment later, under Second Elder's lead, Chu Hen, Han Ichuan, and Qiao Shaowan entered a valley shrouded in celestial mist. The valley was filled with extremely rich celestial spiritual energy. The heaven and earth spiritual energy in the air was more than 10 times thicker than outside. In the depths of the valley where the celestial mist was lifted, 2 magnificent ancient trees that were thousands of years old appeared before them. Chu Hen and the other 2 revealed expressions of astonishment. The 2 ancient trees were extremely sturdy. Their roots were like dragons that were firmly embedded in the hard rocks. The ancient trees were luxuriant and had a huge canopy. "What are we doing here?" Qiao Shaowan asked in confusion. Second Elder smiled. "Don't worry." Then, he slowly walked to the bottom of one of the ancient trees. With a flip of his hand, he took out a strange token engraved with complicated patterns. He raised his hand and extended the token toward the ancient tree. A miraculous scene happened. The token directly merged into the tree as if it had sunk into a quagmire. However, there was not a single mark on the bark. In an instant, a strong spatial fluctuation spread out in front of them. Numerous complicated and gorgeous silver talismans instantly lit up on the trunks of the 2 trees. They flickered brilliantly like divine objects. After that, the space between the 2 trees twisted in a spiral, and then a luxurious and resplendent door appeared in the air. The door turned clockwise like an operating Tianqi formation, and the intersecting locks separated in the middle.